This episode of Achievement Hunting 101 is brought to you by the game Michael Jackson The Experience. Out now on the Xbox 360.
Greetings and salutations, fellow Cheevo hunters, and welcome to Achievement Hunting 101, where we talk the games to get you the gains. I am your host this week, ElroyOMJ, and I am joined today by three individuals. First is a Cheevo hunter from the family Cervidae. He is KooshMoose.
Hello. Assuming that's an actual scientific term.
Yeah, that's the moose family.
I knew that.
There you go. That was the educational portion of the show. Also here today is my southern brother from another mother. He is Brer Rocker.
Howdy.
All right. And lastly, we are joined by a man who knows a grudge when he sees it. It is show contributor Big L. How's it going, man?
I think you mean fudge. and by fudge, I mean sandwich.
Hello.
A fudge sandwich.
That is a weird sandwich.
Well, wait a minute.
That's like,
very chewy. Is an EL fudge not a sandwich?
Wait, hold on. Wait, we're starting with food.
Sorry. Darn. Achievements.
Well, thank y'all for joining me tonight. We're starting right on time, so this is great. All right, so in honor of National Michael Jackson Day, which it's a few hours left in, we're going to spice things up this week and pay our respects by telling you what memorable games we've been playing using a Michael Jackson song to frame it. So, for example, you might say, if you went to, with the Michael Jackson song Man in the Mirror, you might have just played the 2 to 3 hour Fearful Symmetry and the Awful Prince or whatever it's called. Or maybe, that I and Me game, you might have played that as well. You see, Man in the Mirror, because it's one of those dreaded games where you control two things at once. But anyhow, Brer Rocker, it's only fitting, since you are the youngest of the four of us, that you go first. Because Michael would have wanted it that way.
All right.
So what's your first one, man?
Well, my connection is not as thorough as that, but
Where'd you go?
I played the game Out Buddies, which is a Vayner, and just a 2D platformer, and it has no connection to Michael Jackson, but another way to state the game and its difficulty would be to say, Out Buddies, not easy as Ori, or simple as Tesla grad Shantae. No, it's Out Buddies. See, there we go. Out
Good answer.
Buddies.
Good answer.
Thank you. All right, so Out Buddies is your old school Vayner. It very much takes some liberties from Metroid, so I think, having not played Metroid.
Oh, stop it.
It's got these tunnels that you pass through to get to the other screens that are covered by these bright colored balls that you have to shoot. I don't know. I don't know where they got that from, but this was a game that I only played an hour of, and I was not feeling it, not into it. Part of that was just because I got really mad because I decided that I was going to speedrun the game before I played the game. And there's not many people speedrunning it, so the runs that you will find are not well commented on. And so I got fairly far until the dude did something crazy and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I just got mad and I threw the game away because I wasted an hour of my time just trying to get somewhere that I couldn't go. And yeah.
That sounds like a real pleasant experience then.
Otherwise, the game is very highly reviewed and it came to Xbox. It looks like, for me, this type of game, like it's the color palette probably consists of, 10 colors basically. And if that. So it's very old school looking, and it can be hard with the platforming and the shooting, the running gun part of it. I don't know. It's probably a really good game, but my first impression is just like, I have to be in the right mood to play this game. It just came out for Xbox in the what they call it is Out Buddies DX. DX is like this definitive edition patch. So if you get it on PC now, it's called the DX version, but it's actually an older game. It's probably came out in like 2013, I think. But if you're looking for old school Castlevania Metroid games, like this is the one that you're going to go for on the Xbox, I would think. Don't go for Guacamelee, don't go for Ori. You want old school, you're going to go Out Buddies.
How's the color palette compared to Gato Roboto?
Oh, it definitely has more color than Gato Roboto, which is shortly on my list to play.
Oh man, but you get so many. It's part of the collectibles. You get different color schemes. So.
Do you? I haven't even made it that far.
Oh yeah, man. You get like how many do you say there is, Koosh? There's probably like 15 of them or so.
I don't know. I picked up must have been 4 or 5, and I didn't go very far into it. But it's tied to the collectibles, right?
Yeah, I beat it, and but every time you. The collectible, I think there's like 15 of them, I think. But yeah, each one of them's a different color scheme, and they all have weird names like Bubblegum and Smoker's Jacket or something like that.
Is it just like a filter over the game where you just see like all different shades of red?
Pretty much.
Yeah. There's like only 2 real colors that they use. There's shade, and so then they just change those 2 colors.
Out Buddies at least puts them together. Like I'm seeing green, red, blue, and like white and purple and cyan. That's it.
So there's 3 colors at a time. That's crazy talk, man.
Yeah. So
look at you using the word cyan.
What would you call it? Teal?
No, it's not bad. No, it's good. It's a good word. What did you think about the move set in Out Buddies?
So as much as I got, it seemed like there's no double jump yet. I don't know if there's double jump in the game, but I think that they want you to use your gun and like the propulsion of it to navigate places. So that might substitute for your double jump. I don't know. It just seemed very in line with old school platforming as far as movement goes.
So is there nothing memorable in terms of some special upgrade in the Metrovania universe?
Not that I've played. Again, I only got like an hour in. I got 2 or 3 upgrades. Nothing that really is memorable. Like I think no spoilers. I got like a charge shot, so that was the first major one. And then there were some other collectibles along the way that will probably do something along at some point. But yeah, it was just another old school Vayner. And that's all it is.
Well, Nate, you speaking of color palettes, I think you might have some colors for us.
Oh, I do. I have Neon Abyss. This is a GamePass game, and it's a stack. It's out on the X1 and the PC, and I was just looking at it right before the show started. Any guesses on TA for a 1,000 gamer score game?
That just came out?
Yeah, let's go Win 10 first. What do you think?
6,000.
It's got to be higher.
No, I'm going 3450.
Whoa.
1001.
My goodness. It is 6,492 TA on the PC, and on the X1, it is 25,867.
Oh, God.
It's insane. So this is a roguelite run and gun platform shooter. I know everyone loves that. I'm playing a lot of these. I think it's because there's just a lot of these out now. It's not a bad game. I'm enjoying it. I found, well, first of all, let me tie this back to Michael.
Nice.
In this game, you play as someone who's trying to get revenge. And on your quest, you can sort of take a kind of a good side or a bad side. And there will be crystals that you can interact with. And if you interact with them without shooting them, they'll be purple. And they will give you, they will fill up a light gauge meter. If you've shot them or if an enemy has shot them, they'll turn red. And if you walk into them, you'll take damage and you'll fill up a dark side meter. So this makes me think of Black or White by Michael Jackson.
How does that go?
And
is the resident young person?
I am not going to do that to our listeners or to you guys. I'm going to save you from that punishment.
Just destroy a car. And
we had a talk about that one time, I remember. There was definitely was it during the Super Bowl or something? There was a car that was destroyed. after.
Oh, yeah.
It was a big thing.
Well,
was
when
like
you
Final
fill up
Fight.
this meter, either way you fill it up, if you fill up the light meter or the dark meter, and basically it'll go from light to dark or dark to light as you pick up or interact with the level. And once you fully meet the meter, either to the light side or the dark side, a special portal will open up in that level, and you can teleport there and get a free power up.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's not so bad. But yeah, so it's a fun game. I think the first, it'll be, as you go through it, successive runs will make each following run longer. So I think the first time you go through and beat the final boss, I think there's 5 main maps that you load into. So you beat a boss, you go to the next map, you beat a boss. Once you do that 5 times, that 5th boss is the final boss. When you beat that, you'll open up the next tier, where I think it's 6 levels long. So you just keep going and going. I haven't gotten too far because there are some really grindy achievements that are easy to get on that first playthrough, that first dungeon.
Is that
Yeah.
why the TA is just out of control on it?
It could be. I also think this is a high skill game when it comes to some of the achievements. Not all of them, but there's a couple that's going to be a little bit tough, like not taking any damage at all. To get through an entire, 5 sets of bosses. That could be tough, but one of the ways you can do that is it doesn't have to be your first attempt. So you could go through and die 100 times, getting power-ups the entire time, but just dying intentionally to that 5th boss, so that when you finally make your run, you're super powered, you have access to a whole bunch of more better guns and things like that you wouldn't have had access to previously. But what I went ahead and did and discovered that there was a way to cheese one of the more time-consuming achievements, which is running over 999 worms. Sometimes when you kill an enemy, a worm will drop out and it'll die after about 5 seconds. But if your goal is to run over it before it dies. And if you do that, you'll get a coin.
I got so many questions about these enemies now.
There's quite a variety of enemies too. Quite a variety.
So, is it like a tapeworm? I mean, what kind of worm are we talking?
It looks like a caterpillar, to be honest, or like an inchworm, like a very hungry caterpillar, kind of inchworming its way along the bottom of the screen, and it blows up. In a nasty, bloody.
Is that why they're the enemy? Is like they've been possessed by some worm overlord or something? Like, how's this tied to the story here?
No, I don't think so. Well, I think you're gifted with powers and the ability to get revenge by some sort of demonic figure. So you're basically making a deal with the devil to go get revenge on someone. I haven't gotten too far into the story, but that's what it seems like it's doing. But this achievement, for getting 999, you can kind of game the very first run through, which is kind of a tutorial run. When you go down to your last hit on that tutorial run, you don't die. It just lets you live. And that last boss in that tutorial run spawns 3 bats at a time. And when you kill the bats, there's a good chance each one of them will drop a worm. So you can just keep running over the worms. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour to get 999 of them as you're doing it. I put up a solution for it for both the PC and the X1. And there's also another achievement you could try to do at the same time, which is completely buying out every store 4 times on a run. And that's easy to do when you have money. And, well, when you're running over all those worms, you're going to have a lot of money. So that's a good time to go ahead and try to make that run. So you can cheese the game a little bit. And there's other characters that will make some of the other more difficult achievements that seem really difficult. They'll be a little bit easier. And then the second game I played, tied to Michael Jackson, I'll be real brief with this one, is Heal the World. And
nice.
Yeah. Well, and in Forager, you are doing the opposite of healing the world. So you're gonna want to heal the world when you're done. You're basically going around and mining all the natural resources. You're chopping down every tree. You're cutting down every blade of wheat. You're fishing every fish you can get out of every pool of water you can see. You're smashing rock deposits and getting minerals and everything. You're killing animals left and right for their for their meat and for their skins. And you're basically just doing a series of just one more. And you're slowly building up your guy and buying new screens that have new resources that you can go grab. It's very quick to play, and it just keeps you going. It's a fun game. it's one of the things I didn't think I would be interested in playing, and didn't think I would be there an hour later playing and saying, what time is it? Because I don't like crafting, and this game is nothing but crafting. You're building the thing to build the next thing, to build 5 of this thing, to combine with the other stuff to make this new building. And that's the sort of stuff I hate, but I'm doing it. So I guess that's good.
So it's got their hooks in you pretty good. Then.
They've figured out the magic sauce. So it's a fun game. I haven't put too much time into it, but yeah.
So you're killing all these little varmints out there. So you know my next question.
Okay.
Did you leave the possums alone, or what kind of animal variety we talking?
I saw no possums. You're killing chicken. You're killing bulls. I think they're skeleton warriors.
Have you made it to the desert for the dessert
pigs.
possums?
I have not made it to the dessert. I've killed some pigs.
Dessert possum.
There's some wild boar. I
that-
played this for a long time. I played this for probably about an hour before the first achievement popped. So if you want to check it out, you're pretty safe. You're not going to pop anything right away unless you get super lucky, and you probably won't in the first hour. So you might want to see if it's for you. And the first achievement I got was for getting 1 of every gemstone. I think there's 4 or 5, and they drop from mineral deposits.
I do know that there's an achievement for getting 1 trillion coins, which sounded super grindy. Looking at the list, it's one of the the last 3 achievements you're going to get in the game based off total unlocks so far. How many coins did you get in an hour?
A couple thousand.
A couple thousand. Okay. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, they could ramp up, but 1 trillion
And I
coins is
think
still
that-
a lot of
yeah.
coins.
I think that you can start building factories, and you can tell the factories what to build. And so as long as you've got resources pouring in, those factories can just be set to nonstop generating coins. So as you get resources, they just build the coins. So I think there are things you can do to make it a little bit faster. It's not as grindy as it seems, but it's still pretty grindy.
Yeah, it's sitting at almost 6,000 TA, so you're playing nothing but high ratio games these days.
Yeah,
I tell
what
you-
is going on over there, man?
Well, Game Pass is just so darn attractive. You know, they're like, oh, here's a new game. Go try it. And I do. I just download it. I try it, and
Just
all my
because
tag.
you can doesn't mean you have to, man.
yeah, but doesn't it?
You need to
Not
complete
here.
all your games, Koosh. All of them.
You stop.
And play them for fun.
Yeah.
Only if there's a
You need
guide.
to play them for fun and achievements.
I will shout out
Everyone's
Blaze
doing it.
Flareon. Blaze
too
Flareon
soon.
has completed the game already.
Forager?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh,
He completed it
Yeah.
yesterday and
Oh,
started
he
it on the
was-
15th, so
That's a lot.
like 4
He
days.
was 11th?
Is it tracking how much time he's put in?
It did not, no.
Okay.
just look at all the carcasses, the wake of dead animals behind him.
That was the one where he said he was 11th, right? He wanted to be top 10.
Yes, yeah, he was 11th, and there's only 17 completions as of today, the Monday after it came out.
It doesn't seem like a hard game. It's just, you're going to be playing it for a little bit.
Well, I think maybe we should wash down all that TA with some rat talk. Elle, you got some rat talk for us?
I got lots of rat talk because I know how much you love it.
I do.
All right. The first game, oh, man, was Football Game, which is
Oh, heck yeah.
which is the most misleading title of any game there has ever been.
You go
It's all
to a
about that
football
cheerleader,
game.
man. That cheerleader scene, man.
I was going to ask you if you remember that, but surely you do. As a matter of fact, Elroy,
Is there more to the game than
as
that?
a matter of fact, after I finished the game, I went back and I found your
Stared.
review that you did with X, and it was from last November. And you
That's
guys
about
talked
right.
for like 20 minutes about it. It was actually very entertaining. I remember you were like spoiler warning. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to turn this off, and when I finally beat it, I'm going to go back. And I remembered it, and so I did.
Well, there you go, man.
The Michael
Did
Jackson.
we oversell the cheerleader scene?
No, I mean, I clicked on it twice too, I got to admit. But I'm also the type, because there's two buttons, one that tells you what stuff is and one to use. So I use both buttons on everything because I got to get the most out of the game, out of the dialogue. So
Out of your,
I was just
out of
doing
your $4.
scientific research to
Mhm.
on the cheerleader.
Checks
Yeah.
out.
Yes, those were the cutscenes of the game.
FBI, baby. FBI.
The B stands for booty.
Full.
You gonna
Oh,
You gonna tie this to the King of Pop here?
Yeah, I was going to tie this to a Smooth Criminal because in the beginning of the game, you are breaking into your mother's room and you're drugging her, and I'm pretty sure. Are you stealing the car, or is that your car? I don't remember that, but you're doing some stuff. You know, you're participating in illegal cigarette sales. Just crazy game. But I highly recommend it.
So the game, I think you did mention, is like $4 game, right? The game is only $2 on Steam, but you can get the collector's edition.
What?
Oh, wow.
For $4, and includes the official soundtrack.
Oh, wow. Does it come on a cassette? Like in the game?
A red cassette.
Oh, man,
or
I
a blue
wish.
cassette?
Oh, man.
There's one track on there called The Gift. I can only imagine that is the cheerleader scene. and
Gift to
one of
teenage boys
the
everywhere.
one of the selling screenshots of the game is the cheerleader's ass.
Wow. Well,
they know their audience.
I think Elroy pointed out that this picture was on the title screen, so yeah.
There you go. Wow. Well, there you go. That's
Yeah, there's
play
some
any
football.
more rats, or?
There's some football.
Yeah.
All right, I also played Nightin Plus, and it was, I guess you want to call it a Zelda 1 type of clone. You go through and you kill the enemies, and you open doors, and you got keys you get, and you kill bosses. Yeah, it's pretty much like Zelda 1. The Michael Jackson song I chose was Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, because I totally went past the completion and beat the game, right? Like, totally. Nope, I actually didn't.
Oh, wow. You had enough, so you stopped.
I was enjoying it, but I wasn't really loving it.
Is this the one where the jump and the shoot were reversed?
No, there was no jump. It was like Zelda 1. There was no jump. I'm trying to think of what game you're talking about.
Strictly one screen.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Am I thinking Bucket Night?
Yeah, this one's just basically the Zelda clone.
You don't jump in this game.
There were cheats. You could pause the game and enter some cheats. Yeah, it's in the walkthrough. Not that you need them, and not that I would ever partake in such thing, but there were cheats where number one cheat is to give yourself basically 999 gold, so you can buy everything, and the second cheat where each enemy
I
in the
definitely
room,
did this before that walkthrough.
Yeah, I was going to say...
and another cheat where each enemy takes one hit to kill, including the bosses. So...
Oh.
Well, damn.
You probably don't need them.
I feel a little slighted. Barry Rucker, what about you?
You see what happens when you're an early adopter to Nightin Plus?
This game looks good.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
It is, man.
Okay,
Don't
it
sound
is.
too surprised, man.
It's good.
It's
You'll
one
like
of
it.
those.
Talking about our sponsor, man, Red Lake. Buy Red Lake today.
It's one of those rats that once you're done, you're like, I could play a little bit more, but there's no achievement, so I'm not.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't uninstall it yet, but we'll see. And the third rat game that I want to talk about is our very own Super Destronaut Land Wars. And
I think I've heard of that one.
yeah, the Michael Jackson song I came up with is The Way You Make Me Feel, because of course, this song feels like, this game feels like Doom.
It's just like it, I hear.
It's just like Doom. You kill enemies in a first-person environment. It was definitely just like Doom. I'll be honest, though, this game, for me, was not that easy. It took me... I think it had a 0 to 1 estimate. It took me closer to 2 hours, to be honest. Finally got the hang of it after a while. Did you have trouble with this game? Do you remember?
Seems like I just took a little while to grind out the coins needed to buy something. There was like some expensive purchase you had to make to finish out the achievements or something.
Yeah, I don't remember any trouble particularly.
Some of the levels you had to get enough coins to buy stuff, but you could skip those. But the other ones, like the arcade mode and all that stuff,
you had to get like medals in them, right? Like gold medals.
Yes.
Yeah.
In 10 levels, but you can, if you're having trouble, you could just skip them and move on, which is what I wanted.
There may have been like a level or two that gave me, I didn't get first try, but other than that. I mean,
And,
it only has 1036 TA, so.
Yeah, you had the BFG was really expensive in the store.
The other thing that wound up happening with this game is apparently it's going to be near and dear to me forever because unintentionally this wound up being my 500th completion. So,
Good choosing.
oopsie, but I'll never forget it. So that's why I wrote in the show notes that Doom was my 500th completion. I felt much better about that.
Yeah, you wouldn't be the first person to try to cloud what your 500th completion is and try to pretend like it's something it's not. You being good company.
Somebody recently with BioShock. The name escapes me, so I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you.
Sure. I got a little bit more to talk about. We'll circle back. Elroy, what do you want to talk about?
All right, cool. We'll take a big L intermission, and I'll do my first one here. So I went with the hit from the 1991 album "Dangerous." Remember the Time.
Love
it. Because I was forced to finish up Time Spinner. So
forced.
That game was leaving GamePass, and be damned if I was going to spend $20 for it. So it was all systems go on that. Plus, the game also features cameo appearances by Eddie Murphy and Magic Johnson. So, but as far as the game itself,
really,
it was.
You must be delirious, but go ahead.
Yeah. As for the game itself, I don't think I really got the most out of this game. I know that I'm probably going to get some pushback on this panel since there's two people that are deep in the Vayner camp and probably enjoyed it.
I think all three of us loved this game, my friend.
Okay, so
or at least
the problem I have is that it was all disjointed because this was the third time that I've gone back to play this game. So I played it when it when it first came to Game Pass. And then I shelved it for a while. And then I remembered it existed, and I went back and played it a little bit. And I
remember the time.
I was using and so I didn't remember the time. Is the problem? And so I was using this Neo-Seek, I think it was, walkthrough. Mm-hmm. It's what Brer Rocker sent me, I think, or he pinned it in the Vayner channel. And so I was using it. It was a good walkthrough. Don't get me wrong, but I couldn't figure out where it was because there's a lot of doubling back and everything. And so I ended up just not. The whole plot was just disjointed for me, and the characters became unlikable to me because the main character, like when the game first starts out, like anytime there's dialogue, there's like a little pixel image of the character in the top left, and then it just has the text written, and the faces don't move. And so I guess they maybe were going to change that at some point in the game. And so the first time you see the chick, she's like, just got some really bad news, and so she's got this really dumb look on her face, and so that dumb look is on her face the entire game, and so like she's experiencing joy and she's saying happy things, and her face is just the same. It's like, Debbie Downer getting great news. Oh, she's furious, but she looks like Debbie Downer. I mean, she'd be a hell of a poker player. Like her face never changes, and I mean none of them do, but for some reason that bothered me with her because her face was, I don't know, it just looked kind of like lifeless. There's this lifeless gaze in her eye, like she was about to fall asleep or something. But anyway, so then I proceed through the game and finally figure out where I'm at, and then I'm getting close to the end, and then the game starts preaching at me. Now, I don't like being preached at, and it was lecturing me something about gender or something, and then everyone had an orgy, and then instead of trying to save the world, and it lost me at that point. And then I don't know what was going on. I kept skipping all the dialogue. And so, but as far as the Cheevos went, I thought the Cheevos were pretty well done. So the Cheevos were pretty well sequenced. You get one for beating all the bosses, finding all the different types of collectibles, and there's 2 different difficulties. And so the game was really brilliant in this sense, in that you just beat the game. And so many games don't allow you this, but you can keep your abilities for the second playthrough. I don't know why all games don't do that. It makes it so much more enjoyable. It's like gives you incentive to actually play on the lower difficulty rather than start from scratch. And so I kept all my abilities, and it makes it not a very long playthrough on the second one. And so the only problem I ran into, and I don't know, maybe y'all ran into this or not, I don't know. But there's these 2 crows. You have to get all these little things that follow you around, minions. I don't know, I forget what they're called, but you have like these little things that go around and help you kill things.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to collect them all. And there's 2 that you get in this extra, like when you extend the game. I mean, I don't want to get too far into the nuts and bolts on this, but basically instead of beating the game straight away, you go somewhere else and then play for a little while and then you beat the game. And so there's 2 you get out of chests at that part. And so one of them is pretty common and then the other one isn't. Well, I got the one that, I got one of them and I thought it was the one that it wasn't. And so the second crow, I don't know what it was called. I always call it Jon Snow.
Russell Crowe.
So, yeah, or Russell. I call it Russell. But, and so I had Russell, but I thought I had Merchant. And so Merchant, I kept looking for it. And so I couldn't get it. And I had to play through this extra scene over and over and over again. And I was like, this thing is not appearing. And it kept killing me because, I don't know, I was really bad at this one boss that was like all these clouds and everything. And so finally I discovered, oh, wait a minute, I'm missing the other crow. And then I looked in the solution, and apparently there was a Kickstarter code you could enter, and that would get you the exact minion that I did not have. So
I didn't know about
5 seconds later, I punch in this code, and I get that achievement, and then it's like, oh, well, now I can go finally beat this game. And so then I beat it, and it was over. So I did get it in, like before it left GamePass, got the completion in, no worries. So I remembered the time. There you go, time spinner.
Elroy, I have a question I'm afraid to ask you. Did you realize that you could fast travel in that game? Through the mirrors? Or through the things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I fast traveled, yeah. Yeah, I did get that much out of it. Oh, man, that would have been furious if I had to travel everywhere. Oh, boy. Man.
I don't know.
Yeah, I did figure that out.
So was some of... I wonder if playing it under a time restraint or, fear of it leaving made it less fun for you?
It's possible. I just wanted to get it done at that point. And I was worried that I was missing something because I wasn't sure where in the walkthrough I was. I was like, oh, did I miss this? Did I miss that? And so, I don't know. I should have took better notes. I wasn't planning on not playing it, so I didn't really write down where I was at.
So it's another one that I completed before a cheat code was discovered.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, like if you were to do it legit, you were supposed to buy these really expensive rocks, and I did that. I bought those stupid rocks, put them in my inventory, and then it was supposed to randomly appear after you beat it. Yeah, and I beat that. I beat it like, I don't know, like 12 times, and nothing was happening. I was like, this is worthless, man. And so I was starting to run a little bit low on health items. I was slowly being drained to death of my health and my cash, and I was selling stuff, and I was going to go into a bankruptcy pretty soon. So that's when I started looking around. But so did you have to put the rocks in your inventory and get it legit that way, Rocker?
Yeah, but I don't think that I mean, it's been a long time, but I know I didn't do these bosses over and over. I think I did them like twice to get one do it once to get the first one, do it the second time to get the second one.
No, I had the same luck you had. But I put the rocks in my pocket, and I think I got the one the rare one, maybe first.
Yeah.
And then the second one took me like 10 or 12 runs before it finally dropped.
It's furious, man. Did you have trouble with the crow boss guy?
No, the crow boss, I found a good set of attacks that worked pretty well that I could basically attack him from the other side of the screen and just dodge the stuff from really far away. So I didn't have any problems with that. But that cloud boss, he was horrible.
Yeah, so there you go. That was my wonderful experience. I mean, I could tell it was a pretty well put together game. I just didn't like the storyline or anything.
Oh yeah, I skipped all that.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the story lost me for sure. At one point, about halfway through, I was just kind of like, what? I was like, I can't follow this. It's too weird.
The story was a little preachy and divided a lot of people. I'll admit it.
It wasn't the preachiness for me. It was just it was all over the place. Yeah, it was just kind of sloppy. I shouldn't say sloppy. I mean, I enjoyed the game, but it lost me. The story just completely lost me, and I wasn't really sure who was what. You give me too many character names, I get lost. I'm old. So like the guy and the girl, that I can remember. So yeah.
I mean, it would have been so hard to program in a few different facial expressions. I mean, per character, a happy one, an angry one. I don't know.
Well, just remember when you play Metroidvania, it's probably best to just do it in one sitting. Don't give it a rest and come back to it. It's kind of hard to do that.
Speaking of, I stopped 2 Metroidvanias this week.
Well, that wraps up your Big L intermission.
Intermission.
Yeah. Why don't you finish this up, man?
Few more quick stories. I thought of the song "Man in the Mirror." I boosted Jeopardy on the 360 with Retro Chief 1969. Man in the Mirror. Man in the Mirror seemed appropriate because we're both of an older generation. We played some older games. I mean, he's a little bit older. He was telling me about Pong and stuff. I don't know what he was talking about, but we had a good time. We talked for a good hour while we wound up playing it out, even though you could just idle it, and we were just chatting the whole time. He was going for the achievement to play an online game and to win an online game for Jeopardy on the 360. So halfway through, I got disconnected from him. So I said, why don't you just keep going against the AI? Because my character becomes an AI, and he still got credit for the achievement. So that was good. That was good to know. So Retro Chief, it was a pleasure playing with you. If you need any help, or if anybody in the community needs any help with anything, hit up General Boosting, and it never hurts to ask. Usually someone will either be willing to trade an achievement with you or just be willing to help out of the goodness of their hearts.
I can't believe I've recorded twice today, and both times someone has brought up Jeopardy on the 360.
Oh, really?
Is that? Yeah, Em brought it up earlier today. I'm sure you will hear it on an upcoming segment.
So it happened earlier, but I'm going to hear it later.
Yes, it's time spinning. Remember the time.
I quickly wanted to talk about the newest Games with Gold game, Dunk Lords. And the Michael Jackson song that comes into my head is bad, but the game itself is not bad. It's basically just
is that a question?
The game itself is fine. It's reminiscent of NBA Jam, which was one of my jams growing up. But the achievement list is bad. It is hard. So they hand you an achievement for completing your first game, which looks like about 3,700 people have right now. The next lowest ratio is 2.5, and then most of the rest of them are like 10 or 20 ratios, which are basically like beating the story, beating games on hard, and well, there's an achievement for playing a 4-player game, so you need 4 controllers, which that shouldn't be that hard, but that's like that's an 8.7 ratio right now, so I guess now's the time to do that. I just wanted to quickly say that it's a real shame that you cannot play this game online. I think more people would be clamoring to play it if you could. It's got 4-player local, which is nice. If we weren't in a time where people were allowed to come over, it would be great.
Come down to Tennessee. It's not a thing here. Is this like a beat-em-up basketball game?
The main difference,
like Arch Rivals.
In Arch Rivals, you just punched each other. That was pretty. That was blatant.
It's pretty simple concept.
No, in this game you get special moves. So if you hit the B button, you hit them with the special move and knock them down. It's basically the same concept. It's just another thing you can do to them to steal the ball and get an open lane to slam it in.
The title splash screen looks like a robot targeting an African-American basketball player who's punching a strawberry.
Yes, there is a strawberry character.
Oh, damn.
Yes, he's the fruity character. He's
That's
keto friendly.
Nice.
It's not very nice, but nicely done. I just wanted to put him in a blender. All right. The last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is Thursday nights with Prue and Foof and Michelle. We play Halo Master Chief Collection. We finally finished up with our Reach DLC. So I noticed that Prue and Kenny both needed the achievement annual. It is from Halo 3, doing the last level on Legendary with the Iron Skull on, which means if any one of you die, all 4 of you go back to the last checkpoint, and you need to finish it on Ghosts. Funny enough, there's a Michael Jackson song called Ghosts. So how about that?
Whoa, man.
Yes,
well done.
That's a coincidence.
Way tied in there.
So Prue said, this is going to be easy. It's going to take a half an hour. I know this cheat to skip the first half, and then you just guys have to not die at the end. Well, yeah, so it's the first time I ever saw this cheat in action. The 3 of us were killing things, and we saw Prue climbing up the side of the building. Basically, normally you would just go up this long hill or mountain, and that's the first half, and then the second half is driving in Ghosts, and the 4 of you kind of have to stick together because the floor collapses underneath you. Yeah, the 3 of you aren't Halo guys, really, but it's one of the most thrilling achievements you can go for. It's a lot of fun. There was nonstop laughter. And Kenny counted how many deaths we had, and we were nearing the end, and we were very close to having 69 tries. So we were at like 67. He's like, oh, man, are you going to die on purpose now to try to get to 69? I'm like, I assure you I am not dying on purpose. I just suck. So the 69th try came, and we failed that one. So we did get it done in like the low 70s, I believe. But anyone who has ever done annual, I would love to hear your stories on how that went for you. Because that is one of the most fun achievements to go for. And Prue said he would help you anytime you needed help with that one.
Oh, what a guy, man. So,
he's amazing.
Well,
amazing person.
I'll say, it sounds a lot like your Toe Jam and Earl story almost, but...
Stay tuned. 2 days ago, we played Toe Jam and Earl. We're doing more time traveling. That's the game we have on tap to play tomorrow, Tuesday. No, actually Wednesday in our stream. By the time this comes out, will have already happened.
There you go. Let's get those time machines right. So, finish up the game showcase section. My second song is "Beat It." I know it's very very straightforward. I chose it because Michael Jackson didn't sing a song called "Completed It," so I went with "Beat It." So I finally pulled off the completion in Lonely Mountain.
Pulled off?
Now I have no idea. Yeah, I
beat it. Okay, yeah. Because you're lonely. Yeah.
Not to.
Okay, sorry.
Not to toot my own horn. So I have no idea why this game meant so much to me to like get the completion on it. It makes about as much sense as why some dude would go bike riding at literal breakneck speeds down actual mountains in the middle of the night with just a little lamp and with nobody else there in case he, goes flying off the side of the freaking mountain because he can't see anything. So nothing about this game made sense to me, but I did get the completion, and I am number 147 out of the 33,511 track gamers. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I have no idea what came over me. I'm sure that Brer Rocker could tell you that I sent him many frustrated text messages in regards to this game. It wasn't a pretty path there, I'll admit. And there were several trails that were very trying. But in the end, I got the 3 achievements that I needed. All 3 with a 14.5 ratio or higher. So it felt pretty good. And that'll keep me over the 1.5 ratio. So I can go play some more rats now. There you go. Lonely Mountain.
Oh, I have a question about that real quick. Michelle said
Sure.
One of the things that annoyed her about the game was there were certain times where, through no fault of your own, there would be little lag spikes. Did that happen?
Yes. And I was playing it on the S, man. I was playing it on my Scorpio, and the thing, like, it would lag. It would all of a sudden just kind of lag for a second, and it never actually caused that much trouble. It seemed like it always happened during a long stretch, Plus, I was going at pretty much a snail's pace in the middle of the night because, I wasn't trying to be a hero there. I wasn't trying to set any kind of world records on speed there. I was just trying to get to the finish line on the free rider because you have to do it where you can't see a freaking thing and you can't crash, and it's very stacked against you. So, but yeah, there is definitely some little lags that could cost you. It throws you off because your timing's a little off because you have to be really focused, honestly. So, yeah, she's right.
I'm gonna add that Lonely Mountains Downhill is the sole reason you are the #1 gamer in Tennessee for cycling games, and
oh man,
and I am coming after you.
It's happening. Oh man, don't come for it.
Oh,
leave me be.
It's in jeopardy.
No, man, if you get the completion, man, you earn it, man. That thing doesn't come easy. Oh, it was something. Let me know. I expect equal amount of frustrated text messages when you get to the night free ride. So
I might stream my night rides. We'll see.
Oh man, oh no, man, it would be pretty funny. So, but anyway, so stay tuned on that. So speaking of stay tuned, it looks like we have reached our news portion. So, Koosh, you got some exciting news for us?
Yeah. So we just learned recently that xCloud is going to be joining GamePass in September. And they say that it's going to be no extra cost for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. Those are the people that have Game Pass on Xbox and PC. It didn't say anything about how much you're going to have to pay if you're just a regular, Game Pass subscriber. So there's a lot of stuff we don't know. Like, is it going to be fully rolled out to iOS and PC? Saw rumors that Game Pass was going to be, xCloud was going to be possible on a PC as well. Don't know when that's going to be, but it looks like it's coming at some point. And also kind of related to that, Xbox has decided to remove the 12-month Xbox Live Gold SKU. So you can no longer buy from Microsoft Store the 12-month Xbox Gold. Now,
wow.
Where will you possibly be able to buy it? I mean, you can only buy it at every freaking store across the city, right?
There are other places, but so speculation is kind of going wild now. Like, is this Microsoft forcing you to pay more by paying more frequently, or is it more likely that they are finally going to be tearing down the paywall that comes with Xbox Live Gold? And I personally feel like the paywall is coming down. And I'm hoping that that's the case. I obviously don't want to pay more money. So I'm hoping that Xbox Live Gold will no longer be required for online play. And PlayStation doesn't do it, Nintendo doesn't do it, so I think it's time.
What does that mean for games with gold? Obviously, go away, right?
Well, I mean, if you're getting like access to 100 games in Game Pass, it's a rotating library, I think, of 100-ish games. I mean, what's the need for them to give you 4 a month?
Well, I mean, right. Statistically, those aren't the best games we get, but they are free and we can play them whenever. You don't have to. You have to have an active subscription, right, to play old games with gold games.
I've never let mine lapse. And I don't know what's going to happen if I do. Correct. So,
I think that's right. So
the 360 games you get to keep. The one games you don't.
Like if you let it lapse, you don't have access to it. But if you re-up, you can play them again. It's not an issue. I think I've had that happen. But what happens if they get rid of Xbox Live Gold? I mean, if you have Game Pass, does that mean you can still play them?
It's tied into Ultimate Game Pass, which is both, right? That's what they're trying to do.
It's their subscription service now. Their subscription now is a whole bunch of stuff. It's, it's xCloud. It's access to, what would it be? It's weird. So I think, I don't know that we're going to hear about it this week.
So it's not really tearing down the paywall. It's merging the paywall.
Yeah. It's merging all kinds of services that they've been, that they've had in the past and were speculated in the future with xCloud. And I'm sure at some point this is going to be tied into the hardware service fee as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of things combined because otherwise it's just, it's crazy. All the various ways they can bleed you. So
I'm not really familiar too much with the xCloud. So does that include games that are not Xbox Play Anywhere? Is that got its own little subset of games.
So xCloud is, have you done any remote play from your, let's say your PC to your Xbox? So you've been playing your Xbox games, but through your PC. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, to play anywhere?
Not play anywhere.
Console streaming.
Console streaming, they call it.
No, I haven't done any of that.
Okay. So, it's basically you're playing Xbox games not on your Xbox or on your PC, but on an Xbox way over somewhere in some data center. And it's just streaming the video output of that game to you, and it's accepting your controller input. And the lag is not bad for some games. It really depends on your internet
For some
connection.
people.
I was say,
and for some people,
I was going to say, is that going to change, though, more people start doing it? Because then the bandwidth is going to get divided up.
Well, I mean, this is the problem, right? This is the technology that they're working on. And it worked really well for me when I wasn't in a hotel on hotel Wi-Fi. When I was on hotel Wi-Fi, I was getting dropped.
It has never
so.
worked for me. Never. And I'm hardwired everything. I have a good internet connection. Never been a good experience where I can actually play a game.
Well, they've got time. They've got till September.
I guess.
Well, that's still interesting nonetheless. So I guess they'll give us more information probably when they finally figure out what they're going to do, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to hear about it this week. I think this week is going to be all games. I think that we're going to hear about it at the next, so probably in August.
Yeah, we can wait. So go to literally any store in your city and go ahead and buy up those 12-month, Xbox Live Golds for a rainy day.
Maybe at some point they've got to do some sort of restitution, right? They've got to, if you have all this stuff, because I've got years worth of whatever built up from sales and from like the $1 deal that they had. So, I mean, somehow we're going to get that transferred back into something. So,
yeah, well, speaking of good value back, is there any Game Pass news, Brer Rocker?
There is. We mentioned some of it last week, but this is an updated list. So just to remind you that Rime, Banner Saga 3, and Ashes Cricket are all leaving Game Pass at the end of July. Small update. I said I was going to play Rime. I'm not going to play Rime. I looked it up. I'm fine.
Oh, man.
I want to also.
I thought there was a fox, and I only saw...
There's a fox.
Yeah, but you're not the fox, right?
You're not the fox, no.
Yeah, I thought this was like
Or
Ocean
are
Horn,
you?
but with the fox. I thought this was Tunic.
No, this is the feel-good boy drowning story of the year.
I'll live vicariously through you guys on that one. What's coming to Game Pass, though, these are the new ones that will be here for at least 6 months, hopefully. That would be Yakuza Kiwami 2.
Bless you.
Thank you. Your typical Japanese Yakuza game. Grounded is coming into game preview, I believe. It's an explore, build, and survival game where you live in the backyard and you're playing out Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing that preview for that one.
Also coming is Carry On. That one should be July 23rd, and that is a Xbox and a PC stack. And so Carry On, if you remember, is
that airplane simulator?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yes, Carry On is a reverse
Don't steal
horror
my bad
game
jokes.
in which you assume the role of an amorphous creature of unknown origin, and you're traversing through this laboratory, I guess. So that one will definitely be being played by Koosh and I, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
Mountain Blade is coming. That's a sandboxy RPG. Nowhere Project is a card-based tactical game. I have Forager on the list, but Forager is out. As you heard, Koosh has already played it. Golf with Your Friends is getting a Windows 10 stack. And The Tourist is coming out before the end of the month as well. And that's an action-adventure puzzle game that looks a lot like River Bond, but doesn't play like River Bond from what I could tell.
Which is left Game Pass, so.
Yes.
All right. Well, does anybody have any strong feelings about any of those or anything? I mean, it's pretty ho-hum list leaving, really.
I'm very excited for the Luggage Simulator, as everyone knows, and The Tourist, obviously. If you like card games or card battles, Nowhere Profit definitely looked interesting. I mean, it's not really my genre, but it looks well put together, and I definitely want to play the Yakuza games before there's a clock ticking. So I'd like to play them at some point as well.
I'm particularly interested in Carrion, but surprisingly, I'm interested in Grounded. But I won't play it if there's no achievements. So that one,
there's no achievements.
Not necessarily with game preview. So it's coming. It will be Game Pass when it's out of game preview, but that just means that they don't have to have achievements yet. Most games in game preview don't.
Well, I didn't realize these were previews. I guess
Elroy just got very
Grounded.
notably sad when you said no achievements.
I was
oh.
kind of excited. I was getting 8 new games.
No, it's just Grounded. Grounded is the only one that's in
it's just
preview.
Grounded,
Okay.
and that one's like a multiplayer game. You probably wouldn't have played it anyways.
Yeah, you wouldn't have liked
You're
it.
probably right.
Survival, there's crafting.
Oh, God. All right, yeah. Say less. I got you. All right, well, I think that takes us to our discussion question of the week. So this one was inspired because I recently have been looking for bad games to play because of my Chewie's championship belt that I hold, and we are playing bad games this month. And so I stumbled upon, oh God, I can't think of what it's called, Blast Brawl 2, I think it was, or something, Blast Brawl, oh gosh, yeah, I probably should have wrote that down. It's a very forgettable game. It's a party-style game. And
Blast Brawl 2 Bloody Boogaloo.
That's it. I couldn't remember that last part. So Blast Brawl 2 Bloody Boogaloo, or as we call it in the biz, BB2BB. All right. So this game I played like back, oh man, a long time ago. I mean, I played it probably like three years ago, and it wasn't great. I'm not gonna lie, and it was very difficult because some of the achievements are very difficult to get, and I just kind of forgot about it and left it. However, people didn't take note of it, and it has a whopping 1.73 stars. So I returned to it to get a few achievements to, harvest some points for my championship. And I noticed that it had all this DLC. It has, I got pulled up now, the Frost update, the Arsenal update, the Grimoire update, the Nemesis update, the Horde update, and that it basically has increased the game from its 1,000 gamer score to 1,730 gamer score. So it's been very busy since the last time I actually checked in on Blast Brawl 2 Bloody Boogaloo. So it got me thinking about, why can't the games that we actually want DLC actually have DLC? And so what constitutes a game that DLC is needed for? So I bring it to the wonderful panel here. Is there any games that you just are dying to see some DLC for? And what would constitute that? What makes you choose that? How about you, Koosh? You seem insightful.
Ooh. So what game do I want DLC for with achievements? Yeah. That one's easy for me. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Okay. That game was a brand new game. Obviously, I bought it when it came out. It was expensive then. It fell down way cheap after that. But I like Star Wars games. I like that combat. I like that exploration. I would actually even go for some difficulty-based achievements or DLC if I got some achievements tied to that. I'd like a reason to go back and play that game again. I have no reason right now. And it's the sort of game where I can see them adding extra worlds. It fits well to that, DLC model of, go explore this world. Something happened over here. The Ewoks have rebelled. They're getting whatever, uppity. So go quell.
I bet Chewie like that.
So I think that would be a good one.
So
yeah.
There's no achievements for difficulty, like you just beat it and then it's over.
Exactly. Yeah. So the game there were no difficulty based achievements. So I went in and I think I went on the default. So I could have knocked it down one notch, but I didn't. I just now if they challenged me to say, okay, knock it up a notch, I'd have tried that. And if they added some DLC and threw some achievements on there, with that difficulty requirement, then yeah, I'd definitely go for it. And I'd challenge myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. I like that idea of the new worlds because that'd be perfect where it's not a completely new game. Because that's one other question I had is when do you go with DLC and not just a sequel? Because, I mean, you know, and that kind of what a sequel is, just a bunch of DLC packed together. So
High Crackdown too.
So it was an interesting question. I was thinking about that, and what came to me was, I'm guessing most DLC is planned. Like it's probably on a roadmap, and maybe some of that gets cut because of timing and budget, and then they release it later as DLC. But it's also, I'm sure that some DLC is planned as, okay, once we get the base game out, this will come out, or this will come out, like Guacamelee, the Frenemies pack. Like that was probably a plan from the start. Once the game was out and they were getting revenue in, they could build this extra little twist on the game. You know, add the ability to play as other people. That's probably not too difficult to do, and things like that. So I think that DLC for the most part is planned from the start, and sequels are a whole nother beast. Like it's, you know, we have a good sequel is one where you're furthering the story. So you're not just, you know, rehashing just for whatever. And my thoughts on that were like, okay, Arkham, you know, Arkham has a really cool story. And you are, you know, in the one, you're in Arkham Asylum, and then you're in the city, and then you're, Arkham Knight, so I guess you're at nighttime. But so the way the story progresses in that makes sense to not just have it be rehashing.
Right. I get that. That's I think the key for me is also that it's just a game that you enjoy. Like, where, for example, Dead Rising series, they always have DLCs they have in the third and the fourth one, where they just keep coming out with these DLCs. Now, some of them are hit or miss, but a lot of them are really enjoyable. I just recently played Frank Rising for the first time in DR4, and I really enjoyed it. I found out what actually happens to Frank, so there you go. And if you play it right. And so I'm less angry now because I thought they just killed him off, and it was kind of a jerk move. But anyway, so what about you, Brer Rocker? You I see that you're definitely going one direction here.
So Rocket League, always Rocket League for DLC achievements. I don't care if it's title updates or DLCs. Everybody can use more Rocket League in their lives. I don't even care if it's drive 1 trillion miles. Like, throw some more achievements on that game. People will play it. But that's the easy answer. The better answer is a more recent game that I loved, and that is Maneater. And I do want a sequel to Maneater, and it doesn't even have to be a shark. I think I've mentioned this. I want, like, you could be a gorilla, and then like your dad gets murderized in front of you, and then you have to, as a baby gorilla, grow up and then take his revenge. You're going through South Africa, wherever the gorillas are, and you're navigating those jungles and doing it. That would be a perfect sequel. But for DLC, for Maneater, I've already got it mapped out. So you're a shark, you're swimming, you're like in this you're obviously in this American kind of environment. Somehow you get out and you get to the ocean and you go right down to the Amazon rainforest, and you're going and you got to fight the apex creature in the Amazon rainforest. You know what the apex creature in the Amazon rainforest would be?
King Kong.
He lives there.
Python, man.
The
anaconda.
The giant. See, the anaconda would be a perfect enemy for a gorilla. Just saying.
But not a shark?
Not a shark, not in this case, just because he fits with the gorilla better. There is an actual giant river otter that it's in the Amazon rainforest.
Nice.
So you got, they're known by many names, including river wolf and water dog. He looks pretty vicious. But you have that, and you have sloths and anteaters are in the rainforest. And they even have the Jesus lizard. We could
nice. The walks on water, man.
Exactly. And maybe one day he walks over a vial of of ooze, and then he becomes bigger, and so you got this whole Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle aspect crossover into it, and then you're just a shark, and you got to survive, and there we go.
Oh man, I think you just did the job for him.
Tripwire, there you go. You don't even have to pay me. Just give me some DLC.
So I know Rocket League has quite a few DLC. So at what point is that going to become Rocket League sequel, Rocket League 2, or Rocket Leaguer?
I see Rocket League like Minecraft. Like there just won't ever be a 2.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Just keep on adding, huh?
It's like Fortnite. I mean, you just keep
perfection,
updating the same game over and over.
All right. Well, I haven't played enough to argue with you, but I'm really excited to play this Maneater game, man. You've really got me excited to play this game. I just can't play it this month because everyone rated it so highly, and it would cost me the belt. So come August,
it'll touch you in places you didn't know you could be touched.
Yeah, on the doll, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Al, man? You've been quiet. I hear you have answers.
Well, first I was going to ask Corey a question. And I saw something on your little notes that I'm going to steal. Corey, do you know how much Gamerscore Rocket League is worth right now?
I don't know, like 1,700 something off the top of my dome. Okay. No, it's over 2,000, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2,200. And
there you go.
It's 2 games, man.
It's
2 games worth.
But some of these...
Money on the table.
Yeah, one of your questions was, what's the ideal amount of Gamerscore for DLC? And it really annoys me when it's not a multiple of 500. Or at least 250.
Like Bloody Boogaloo with its 1,720 or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that game. But some of it is just so arbitrary.
1,730. 1,730 now.
Yeah,
so I'm looking now. Yeah. I think title updates for Rocket League, they're mostly 250, but I do see some 200s in here. Actually, just one of them's 200. The rest are 250. I think 250 is a fair amount for an update, but a DLC should be 500. I would keep it, even in those regards.
Why couldn't that be worth 2,250? Or, I don't know, 2,000 or 2,500, one of those.
Well, you have math.
Math is hard.
Well, maybe they're still planning on adding on to it. Maybe it's a work in progress.
Yeah, it could be that.
Maybe.
They haven't.
I don't know, it just
bothers August 2018, but...
It just bothers me, all right? Goat Simulator's worth $23.75 altogether. Like, where did they come up with?
I think they were going to... I think they were going to go up to the next 500th, and then COVID hit, That messed up everything.
Oh, yeah?
Well, yeah, man, the sports leagues, they can't meet, so Rocket League, they've had to stay home. Yeah. So, did you have an answer yourself?
What's the question?
Or you just kind of sit here and yell at the clouds about DLC numbers?
I'm stalling like Joseph. What's the question?
Did you have any game in particular that you think that DLC would be perfect for?
Football game? Hello? Weren't you paying attention earlier? You can have 2
overtime.
Cheerleaders. 2.
Yeah, football game, overtime. new dance routine to oogle over.
Honestly, one of the series that I have played a lot of, the WWE games, believe it or not, have never had DLC with achievements. They are all worth 1,000. They all have season passes. And they all have DLCs with extra characters and moves and sometimes extra story stuff, but they never had achievements. So
and you buy them all.
And I buy them. Well, maybe.
M buys them all.
No, this is on me. I buy the physicals every year that comes with the, plaques and autographed things and Hall of Fame rings. But they all come with the season passes. So that's the only reason I have them all.
So would you prefer that they had
achievements?
Extra 500?
Sure.
They're not known for having great achievement lists.
Yeah.
Well, the multiplayer is not great list-wise, but yeah, I wish they had something.
You kind of...
I think the achievement is beating it before the servers go offline.
Actually, rip the 2K19 servers as of today. Bye-bye. No mas.
Oh, today. When were you notified?
They are done. 4 days ago. I happened to see it on Facebook and Twitter. If I hadn't seen it, or if someone hadn't seen it, I mean, to be fair, they usually go down May 31st, and on May 31st they said, yeah, they're going to stay up indefinitely, and that's mostly because the reception to 2K20 was so poor that they kept up the servers an extra couple months. So they were up for almost 2 years.
Well, Elroy, what game would you put DLC in?
Well, that kind of alluded to it because he was talking about the extra characters in his wrestling games. And so that's kind of, I don't know, I've just been on this kick lately with Gears Pop. I've been playing it a lot, and I'm sure the podcast has probably mentioned it once or twice, but
it's been a while,
I'm finally getting into it. I'm finally getting into it and actually putting some work into it. And it's like they keep coming out with all these new pins and everything, and the achievement list is just so, I don't know, blah. It's just not great. I mean, it's all grindy, like play 1 million matches, spend 500,000 power and all this other stuff. And it's like all stuff you're way down the road, and it's like once you get past a certain achievement, you're not going to get another achievement for months, and so why could they not add, when they add these new pins, like pin specific DLC, like the dude with the eye patch, what is his name, Sid or something like that, like impale 10 pins with Sid or whatever, where it has something to work towards. Maybe all these pins that have these special abilities, like they have one with a shotgun guy, you have to kill 50 people with a shotgun guy. You have destroy 10 bases with the katana chick, and so why can we not have more of that, or maybe some layout ones where using 4 bruiser pins, get 10 victories or something. I mean, they could have done so many different things with it, and it's just such a boring list, and they could correct it with a lot of DLC that would bring a lot of people back and have them try to finish it and everything. So I don't know, I'm just disappointed with the achievement list in the Pop right now.
I think most people are.
I don't know. Yeah, I know I'm late to this party, so I won't belabor it too much, but I don't know. So, but that does tie us into our community question of the week. Coates McGoats wants to know which Goat Sim DLC is best and why. And the answer is clearly the MMO one. It's funniest.
MMO, yep.
Yeah.
So, mostly because I haven't played the space one or the Payday one.
Space one either. I haven't played it.
Big L also says MMO. That's the only one I've done, and I really enjoyed the parody music of Diablo. It's hilarious.
I like the one that's nothing but Flappy Goat. It's like just Flappy Goat over to this area, and you do some Pac-Man, and then you Flappy Goat over here, and you do some, I don't know, Clicker Heroes. That's the one that's amazing.
There you go. All right. So thanks for the question, Coates McGoats. And that takes us into Willin' and Dylan. So y'all check out the sales, Bro Rocker? You see anything you like?
A little bit. The only one I'm going to mention today is one that I have been toying with for months and months on end. It may have been this cheap before, but finally, at least today, Hitman 2 Gold Edition is $20, normally $100. And this game has a lot of DLC with achievements, and the Gold Edition will get you everything. So playing the first one a few hours, enough to know that it's a really good game, just kind of makes me want to play the second one that much more without finishing the first one.
All right. Well, for me, I got 2 games that I'm going to recommend. Well, one for real, and that is Cat Quest 2. It's got cats in it, so P-Tart, go buy it. And also, everybody should be buying it because it's an RPG, and I think you're supposed to be playing those, are you not? And gainers. So you're not going to get anything more pleasant than just frolicking in this wonderful top-down world with a bunch of cats and dogs in it, making terrible puns at every turn. So yeah, it's down to $10.50. So that one's a good one. And then if you were just looking for something off the beaten path, that would be Stone. It's like trying to be like the Big Lebowski. The story is a complete waste of time, and I don't know. The only thing that was good about this game is that the name of the bar was like the something possum.
Yeah.
I forget. Do you remember, Brett?
I don't necessarily remember.
The thirsty possum.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, there's not much in this game. It's a complete waste of time. So I thought about recommending it highly just to troll you, but
I was
you will
wondering.
get your game. You will get your gamer score pretty quick. So that is a plus. However, it is probably the most worthless story I've played in a long time. Yeah. What about you, Al?
What about you, Nate?
Yeah.
I'll say something.
All right.
I was just seeing if I was paying attention. Going with the Zelda 1 theme of earlier, I'm going to go with Anodyne for $2. I think it's well worth it. I'd like to see Anodyne 2 on the 1. It does exist, so I would grab that one.
Do exist.
But there is a speed run, beware, but it's doable from all accounts. All right, what about you, Nate?
Well, I hate to even mention it because everyone should own this by now. It's stupid cheap. Batman Arkham Collection.
Nice.
Wow, did I spell that wrong? Which comes with Asylum City and Night. It's $15.
Who doesn't
but you've already got it, right?
Who doesn't
And,
spell Asylum with
place,
2
man.
S's?
So that collection comes with a bunch of DLC bits for City. And if you go in, you look in the sales, there'll be a $5 sale for the Night Season Pass. So you can get all that stuff. Why don't you already have this? Stop talking about it. Sky Hill. So once upon a time, there was another podcast where Prue was on, and he talked about a game called Sky Hill, which is a roguelite role-playing turn-based game. Yeah, it's $4 down from $20, and it's a 1,000 gamer score with 1,883 TA. And judging by the completions, it's going to take you 24 hours if you are efficient. Otherwise, it's going to take longer. I like my roguelites these days, apparently, and it's $4. So I'm interested. So I'm probably going to pick this one up. I'm not just the president. I'm a member. And the other last thing I want to mention very briefly is the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics. $10 down from $20. This is a role-playing turn-based game. 1,000 gamer score, 1540 TA. There is no walkthrough, but every achievement does have a solution. And by looking at the achievements, it doesn't look like difficulty is going to be a factor for this. You do not have to play at a certain difficulty. You will have to play the game through twice. Once regular, once on New Game Plus. And hey, guess what, Elroy? You get to keep all your abilities and your party members and stuff. So they did it the right way. Yeah.
That is the right way.
Sounds terrible. Why would you play this game?
I'm still winning, but
Why?
that's at least enough to...
Why would you play this game? Well, I'll tell you why. This is the
Hashtag
year.
contest.
This is the year of the gainer, the RP gainer. And just today, I don't know if it's because of this game or what, chat was going crazy in the RP Gainer channel, and Tropan reminded everyone that he's putting up money. He's putting up money rewards here. So for RP Gainer and RP Gainer type completions, he's put up a couple bounties. The first one that he put up was for completing Nier in a month, and Mattism did that, and he got himself $10. Now, there's a couple other bounties that are open. First to complete Crosscode, which is a Game Pass game, so you don't have to pay anything. That's $10 if you're the first one to complete it. The aforementioned Dark Crystal Tactics, it's $10 now. The bounty for it is $20. So if you're the first person to complete it and to tell Tropan, you could get $20. And then this one's crazy. The first to complete 2 worlds, the series completions. That's 2 games. These are non-BC 360 games, and I did some math, and it takes about 80 to 100 hours to complete these 2 games. Why would you do that? Well, he is giving away $50 to the first 2 winners. Yeah, so he is putting up some cold hard cash, and that's amazing. Thank you, Tropan. And this is why you would want to buy that game, I would think.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Does he take accept bounty ideas, I should add a cat quest to that match.
He might. I don't know. He's a big fan of the gainer this year, and he's
the
he's
first one who
moving
can
shaking.
show video proof that your cat completed cat quest.
That's right.
We need a Captain Cat too.
Oh man, you aren't wrong, man. That theme song just man.
Captain Cat.
Oh man! All right. Well, one contest to the next. So, what about the gamer tag challenge?
Oh, that thing's still going on. It's month of July. Philip Wendell. He chose Outer Wilds, and the bonus is proper names. So specifically, first names, real or fictional, limit 1 per game. And names can repeat. So if you have a John or a Bob in multiple games, not a problem. Just as long as you're only getting 1 achievement per each game. And that only counts after you've completed the gamer tag that has lots of I's and lots of L's and a whole bunch of E's. So good luck.
Yeah, for sure. Man, Koosh, you're doing such a great job, man. You just want to head us right on to Brag Camp, man. It's just let's keep this party going. Man.
Oh, right. I will.
Whoa.
Looks like he's going to bed early. Completions. Hatton 90 with a new milestone of 50 completed games. Doughboy with 100 completed games. Sorry, Hatton. Retro Chief 1969 with 175 completed games. Northern Lass with 275 completed games. Big L with a new milestone of 500 completed games.
Doom.
Isrit 102 has reached a new milestone of 1,005 completed games.
Man, that's quite a milestone.
It is. I couldn't remember if we read off the 1,000, and so I left the 1,005 in there. I figured he's probably done 5. I don't know. Completion percentage. We have Dark Lord Davis with a 34%. Freaky Row with 43%. Death Dealers with 45%. Northern Lass with 47%. What the Fug with 62%. Mark B with 64%. Alex RD with 65%. And Chewie on Ice with also a 65%. 65er.
For streaks, we have the Alpha Seagull 50-day achievement win streak. I'm going to guess that he's had his Xbox for 50 days with that one. Chesno is on 200 days, and Prue is on 1,600 days. Additionally, all of these members got 1 point added to Skeptical Mario's Streak King contest because they got 10-day achievement win streaks. That would be Dark Lord, Dino Bull Davis, Skeptical Mario, Toadstyle Venom, Mark B, J Black, Soundwave Core, P-Tart, Isret 102, and Retro Chief 1969 with his Jeopardy boosting session.
Who's ahead in that contest right now, or do we know?
I think Lady Licky.
Oh, sweet.
I'm not sure. You have to ask Skeppy there. For achievements won, the Alpha Seagull again has hit 750 achievements won, probably again within those 50 days. Chesno has hit 6,000 achievements won. High Road Vatu, 13,000. Bastion Reader, 15,000. Northern Lass, also 15,000. And Fighter X93 Chip at 23,000 bleeps and bloops on his TV screen.
Man, that's awesome.
It's a lot of pumps.
Yeah, let's keep the ball rolling. Alpha Seagull has reached 20,000 gamer score. Right on, man. That's a couple rats. Alex Road has 150,000. Chesno 200,000. Sabin Rothschild 220,000. Hawkeye Berry 270,000. Icefire Tennessee is 420,000. Northern Lass, the same, 420,000. High Road V2, he had both 470 and 480,000. RPG Davey, 620,000, as well as NBA Kirkland, Wanda's husband, 620,000. Vulgar Latin, 640,000, and Prue tops it all with 840,000 gamer score. And the TA score, a lot of achievements there too. We have Alpha Seagull reaching 25,000 TA score. So I guess his 20,000 gamer score equals 25,000 TA score. And we have Chesno with 250,000, Soundwave Core with 250,000, Sabin Rothschild 550,000, J Block 560 TA, Northern Last 600,000, Hyro V2 850,000, Matriarch has 1,100,000 TA score. Lego Head 1977 is 1,140,000 TA. Still My Thunder has 1,390,000 TA. And Mighty Mango has 1,470,000 TA. And Jimbot UK has 1,760,000 TA score.
All right. We're up to leaderboards. Northern Last is now in the top 5,000 of TA leaderboard. Retro Chief, the man in the mirror, is in the top 20,000 of TA leaderboard. Alex RD, whose name is way better in the Discord. Alex R. Davies, our Englishman turned Canadian, Woot, is now in the top 20,000 of the TA leaderboard for ID at Xbox. I love that leaderboard. Hack and Pwn is in the top 50,000 of the TA leaderboard for Xbox Live Arcade. Alrighty. Good old Facial LaFleur is in the top 1,000 of the USA Games Played leaderboard for role-playing. Mark B is in the top 100 of the England TA leaderboard for Connect Required. Awesome. Mike Pitch is in the top 500 of the Gamerscore leaderboard for Windows Phone. Icefire TN, which I always read as TM, like trademark, is in the top 2,000 of the TA Difference leaderboard. Retro Chief is in the top 5,000 of the USA TA leaderboard as well. Chesno is in the top 1,000 of the England Gamer Score leaderboard for Beat 'em Up and the top 5,000 of the Gamerscore leaderboard for Fighting. Northern Last is in the top 500 of the England Completed Games leaderboard. Oh, man. We have some late-breaking news. Hot on the heels of last week's news of getting married, a big congrats goes out to Lady Licky, who is apparently with child. Rumor has it she got impregnated after a heated session of Gears of War 3, so you could say it was a sawed-off shotgun wedding.
Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Lady Licky. Seriously, that's awesome. All right. So, some trivia. El, you want to quiz us?
I has trivia for you guys.
Okay.
And it's very Elroy skewed.
Oh, I like it.
And I'm going to do it anyway. Going back to Radolikas. I got my 57th Radolika completion. My trivia question is, as of right now, how many Radolika games are on TA? How many Radolika games are there? Can you name anybody who has them all completed?
All right.
But we could start with how many are there?
You just want to shout it out?
Sure.
I just texted you.
Oh, no, you could just shout out stuff.
Oh, 61.
Okay. I think there's more than that.
Okay.
I don't know if we've crossed 70, so I'm going to say 69.
Nice.
Love that answer, Nate.
I was thinking 57, so...
Okay.
I'm going to go with Bills. Bills for the win.
The leaderboard. Redemption.
Or Sangrias.
Redemption.
All right. Those are all excellent answers. All right.
Possibly Chin Doctor.
Not X the Hero. Don't say that.
There are 73 Radolika games.
Ooh.
Actually, the 74th has just hit. Elroy has 67 completions out of 71 on his tag.
Oh, man. You're busy.
But all the names you got were correct. Chin Doctor has 73 of 73. Redemption has 73 of 73. Bills has 72 of 73.
Oh, Bill's slacking.
And Sangrias has 73 of 74, so he must have just thrown on the new one and not completed it yet. I believe we just got one today.
Man, that sounds like a good day.
Radolika's always a good time.
All right, well, that takes us to the end of the show. The show is now ending.
The episode.
You can catch us.
To the point.
You can catch us on the internet. We're on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Patreon. You can find all those links in the Discord. The Discord is discord.io/AH101. And that'll just be your entranceway, and you can find everything else. But as promised, the show is now ending.
Class dismissed.
Yes, class is dismissed. Thank you.
Bye.
Love that guy.
Hey everybody, this is Vulgar Latin with AH101 Reviews. Today, I would like to invite you to take a trip with me back in time. Way back. So we're going to go back to late 80s, early 90s. Imagine, if you will, a very young child waking up at the crack of dawn, running downstairs, making cereal, spilling milk everywhere, and watching cartoons while his parents sleep. Then, when all the cartoons were over, going and playing some NES. That's the world that the makers of Clash Force would like you to step into. Clash Force was released early this month, July of 2020, for a price of $4.99. I believe you could also get it on sale for $3.99 if you were so inclined. What is Clash Force? Clash Force is a run-and-gun style platforming game that is very 80s inspired. What do I mean by that? Well, one look at the graphics will give you a big hint. It looks like it came straight out of an NES sometime in the late 80s, and the style is reminiscent of a Saturday morning cartoon. The trailer gave that away, too, that they were shooting for Saturday morning cartoon style tie-in game. You play as the Clash Force, a Saturday morning cartoon style team. There are 3 of them that you can choose from. You pick your favorite, and you stop the evil Crack Man, which is a name, I suppose, for a bad guy. Crack was bad in the 80s. Go figure. As he goes through multiple biomes that you've probably all seen before. I'm sure you've played video games. You know the tropes. There is an ice world. There is a desert world. There's a forest. All of these places and worlds of hats you get to go through on your eventual quest to get a 1,000 gamer score, which shouldn't take you too long. All told, it took me 32 minutes to get the 1,000 gamer score in Clash Force. The reason being is that you only need to get to the end of 15 levels. The first 15 levels. If you can move all the way to the right without dying, a 1,000 gamer score will be yours. Not to say that this is a bad thing. Clash Force was a lot of fun. Moving and shooting through the levels, I had a sense of nostalgia for a thing that I'd never even really heard of. Sort of a weird feeling, huh? As you move through, you collect power-ups and dodge rudimentary enemies. I imagine you could give this to just about anybody, and they'd be able to get the 1,000 gamer score. I'm willing to bet my mom could probably do this, and she hasn't played a video game in 25 years. So, you move through, you jump, you shoot enemies, you try not to fall in pits, you try not to get hit so that you can keep your power-ups. If you get hit once, you lose your power-up. Are these power-ups great? Yeah, some are. I really enjoyed the spread shot, which is a staple of the genre. I didn't enjoy the gun that shot straight and had a little wavy bit at the end. I didn't really know what that was for. It seemed kind of weird and inconsistent. But for the most part, they're all just various shapes of gun that shoot at a specific range. Some have more projectiles, but shoot less, so on and so forth. Now, me personally, I was a spread shot fan all the way. There was also one that shot these big fire waves that looked like about 5 of them, I think, and that was a big boss killer. But you get so many of them that you just kind of fly through, and they're not even really memorable. I think they give you, I want to say 10 or so at any given time that you can just fly through the game. Death's not really much of a consequence, since it doesn't take you back or do much of anything. Not that I even died all that much, except a couple times in the later levels. After every level, they also give you a bonus power-up too. You just jump up and collect it, and you have another power-up. Real easy. So what boss patterns are we talking about? Well, they're all pretty straightforward and seem reminiscent of bosses in other games. As you shoot through, you'll have the life bar there, which is always, as a sidebar, a really great thing. I love having the boss health, so you're not just waylaying on somebody thinking, when is this guy gonna go, right? Sidebar over. I think there's only about 4 main boss battles that you have to go through. I believe it's about 2 levels and a boss. That sort of structure. You can see that in the achievement list. And I think the achievement list does it a bit of a disservice. I wouldn't have minded playing this game a lot longer. I did for a bit. There was another boss after that 15th level. I got to 16. I tried on that boss before just realizing it was more of the same. It's very consistent. It's very solid. The controls, you move and shoot exactly as you'd expect. They didn't feel floaty. They felt right. This felt like not necessarily a lost gem, but a pretty okay game for the time that it would have been made in. If it was, let's assume it was trying to be from the 1980s, even though it has that parallax scrolling, which would not have been a thing. I don't think the NES could really even handle it. Basically, the backgrounds move independent of the foreground. That's a pretty neat trick that not a lot of old school games had. It was a very big deal in the Super Nintendo games that some of them could do it. It's a good game. I would say it's one of the better Ratalaika games that I've played by virtue of just being purely solid. The nostalgia factor going into it, the fact that it had such a hit, a wave, a rush of like the Transformers or He-Man or something. Watching the show and going back and playing the game, you could get that sense of a forgotten, maybe not gem, but a forgotten solid game. There's tons of those back in the day, and this is just going to be one of them. So is it worth your $5? Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say it's even more worth the $3.99. All these Ratalaika games go on sale eventually, and if you are inclined, give it a shot. It's not a lot of TA score, but I've never really cared about that either. So plugging this in, I'm going to give it a final score of 4 out of 5 cartoons. Very solid, very good gameplay. All in all, it was a real treat. And I wasn't saying that just because I played it right before our vacation started. So that probably helped. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great rest of the day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Back to Back, our somewhat monthly segment where we talk about the games we've played that are not available via backwards compatibility. I am once again joined by Chewie on Ice. How's it going, Chewie?
I'm good, as always.
And, of course, Mr. ElroyOMJ. How are you doing?
Oh, man, it's great to be here.
All right, brevity.
Yep.
So before we start talking about the games that we played over the last month or so, I'm going to actually just take a moment to talk about this month or so. So as you probably have gathered, we don't always get the chance to get together exactly once per month to talk about our back-to-back exploits. So the segment's still going to be continuing on. We're definitely still going to get together and record. It just might not be exactly monthly. It might take 5 weeks or 6 weeks, but we promise we're going to keep bringing you this content. So with that said, I'm actually just going to go ahead and start myself because I easily had the worst back-to-back month in the history of us recording this back-to-back segment. So I'm going to get that out of the way real quick. Also, I've been told that Elroy might not have had the greatest month. Spoilers, so I'm going to make him feel a little better by just taking the bullet on this one.
I appreciate that.
No problem. You got to start with low expectations, so by the time we get to Chewie, who's just been killing it on all these back-to-backs,
I wouldn't say killing it. I mean, I did adequate.
I'm pretty sure you got a completion last month, right?
Yeah.
Like on Red Johnson.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, you've done all right.
I'm pretty great.
It's only
I'm pretty great.
200 pointer.
Technicalities. So last month I said I was going to work on game show based games. So these would be games like Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and The Price is Right. And I did, but my gamer score will reflect none of that. And this is because if you look at what I have left in these game show based games, it's mostly the end game grindy content. So for example, Jeopardy actually encapsulates my entire month of trying for back-to-back achievements. I have 2 achievements left in the game. One is for playing, I believe, 50 games, and the other one is for selecting a daily double on your first try. I started the month at some number of games, and I played maybe another 10 or so, never hit a daily double on my first try, and even though I put a good couple hours into the game at that time, I got 0 achievements. So that pretty much sums up
my
whole month. Yeah, go ahead. Hit me with the shame button. Now, what I did do, and I'll talk about this a little more next, when we do the next go round about what we're doing for the next time we get together to talk, is I did start on my game that I'm going to be focusing on for the next time. So I'm just going to leave that as a little teaser from when we get around. But with that out of the way, yes.
So at what point in the month did you realize you were letting down all the listeners?
At the point that I was challenged to a completions challenge and Chewie's championship challenge.
So there's a
There's a
fall guy here.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Because here's the issue. When you're challenged to straight completions in a contest like that, you will never, ever, ever pick the Xbox 360 for anything. Because a quick completion in the Xbox 360 days was still 6 to 8 hours. I can complete 8 Ratalaika games in that time. And that's where my attention needed to be.
And it would be so much more fun, too, might I add. Just,
Well, I'm fun with air quotes. You're just straight fun. But yes, I understand. So there was a lot of distractions, as you know, with the world and its craziness right now. I actually, last month was when I was called back to start doing more heavy work-related activities. So I had less time that way. So a lot of things came together to make it so that I turned on my Xbox 360 for a couple things. I just did not sit down with those games and get those achievements.
But you sure enjoyed those rats, though, right?
There were a few. There were a few standouts, actually. Not all Ratalaika games are bad Ratalaika games. Just like not all AAA games are good AAA games. So there were definitely some gems in there, too.
How did Jeopardy, what you played of it, how did it strike you as a game? Is it just like any other game show game?
Well, I've played a lot of Jeopardy previous, and actually, while I was busy not doing Jeopardy on the 360, I was playing the Jeopardy on the One. And it's fine. The thing that Jeopardy on the 360 does that the one on the One does not is it actually lets you choose the difficulty, and on the One version, it's always multiple choice, which if you're playing Jeopardy to actually show that you know anything about anything in terms of random trivia, multiple choice is like, great, I've got a 1 in 3 chance. Okay, I can do this. On the 360 version, you can type in the answers and it has sort of predictive text. So as you start to type things in, it'll give you the related answers so you don't take forever typing. So it feels more like you're actually answering the question instead of just guessing from available choices. But I've played a lot of Jeopardy on the 360 already. I've played a lot of Wheel of Fortune, which is another one that's got so many luck-based achievements. These games, they have achievements that are so RNG heavy, as does Price is Right. So Price is Right has an achievement for getting 15,000 in Plinko.
Oof.
If you're not familiar with Plinko, it's pachinko. You get a chip, you drop the chip into this like pegboard, and you're hoping that it lands in the middle, which is the $3,000 prize. So you first need to play the pricing game. You need to win all 5 chips, which you can do easily enough by following guides. But then you need to hope that all 5 land in the best possible spot, of which there's only 1. So
that's
these
terrible.
games, these last achievements, and I should have looked more at the achievements I had left in these games before I chose to go with that. Most of the achievements I have left in them are just either grindy or so RNG that there's just no good way to make sure that you actually accomplish anything.
That sounds like a really long setup for just something that you know is going to fail. That's bad. That's not good.
Do you at least get the soothing tones of Alex Trebek to keep you going?
Yeah,
is he really really lifelike in it?
He looks like a Xbox 360 avatar. So as much as that can be lifelike, I wind up playing these games on mute because I'm just trying to get through to finish games at this point. I think Wheel of Fortune also has achievements. Both games have achievements for unlocking sets, and you can do that by winning a certain amount of money per game. In Jeopardy, that's easy. You answer the questions right, you win money. In Wheel of Fortune, so there are achievements for, hitting 2 bankrupts in a row. And you'll hit bankrupt 7 times in a game, which means you're not winning any money, which means you're unlocking stuff real slow. So you have to play through a lot. And I believe these games can be cheesed somewhat if you have a Hori, like a turbo controller, because you can just let it press A and it'll keep going through, and eventually, luck of the draw, you'll get there. But I don't have that, and just, diverted attention.
I don't see this Plinko one here. Which achievement is that? I was wanting to see what the ratio was on that awful achievement.
There are actually 2, I want to say. There's one for that you have to do online, and there's one
not as Wheel of Fortune.
No, this is Price is Right.
Oh, I'm in the wrong game. That would explain things.
That would help.
Yeah, I was looking at Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, that would do it. So there are two achievements. There's Lucky Chips, which is for Plinko 1983, and that's for winning 15,000, which is the one that I explained earlier. And then there's a second one that's called Drop It Like It's Hot, which is for Plinko 1998. So if you haven't played The Price is Right, you play just the way The Price is The Price is Right a thing in the UK? Like, I feel like that's like more of a United States show. Do you have a corollary?
Not particularly. I think there was probably a version of it in like the 90s, but I don't know if you've heard me on the show previously. Whenever I've been involved in a Price is Right type trivia question, like how many achievements have the word hero in?
Oh yes, yeah.
I suck at that, so I guess we don't really have it over here.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So
it's 6 ratio.
An important distinction.
In case you're wondering, it's the 6 ratio.
Yeah, so that's for Drop It Like It's Hot, because not only is it ridiculously luck-based, it's online multiplayer only. So you need to find someone else with the game who will then go in there and play it with you and will sit through the pricing game with you. So the pricing game is like a mini game you play based on like, can you guess the price of this pack of gum within 10 cents? And then every time you get that right, you get 1 chip. So it's not like you get 6 chips, but if you get 5 of them in the best possible spot, you'll win. You have to get all 5 of them in the best possible spot while playing online. Like
it looks like you have to do it local too.
Yeah.
Or wait.
Right. So that's the Plinko 1983. That one's local.
Oof.
And the Plinko 1998 is online only.
It's awful.
So yeah, it was not. I didn't make good choices in terms of actually getting achievements done. I pretty quickly felt defeated insofar as what I would accomplish this month, and chose to focus on other things. But that's enough of my failures.
Well,
Elroy,
I was gonna say, it sounds like you're ready for our spin-off section, Rat to Rat. So you're ahead of the game for that.
Yeah, I did well for completions last month. It was my best month ever. I just, totally caused me to blow up my spot with this.
Okay.
But tell us about Rise of the Argonauts.
Man.
How did that go?
Well, this is a real success story compared to that dumpster fire. So I increased my gamer score on this 200-point game. I now have 160 gamer score. And that's up from 20. So
that's an improvement. That's great.
I previously had this on my tag. I bought it because I think it was like $1 at GameStop, and so I went home and played it. I impaled 25 people, and then I put it away and forgot about it. So there is a walkthrough. And it's actually not a 200-pointer. It's a 1,000-pointer. I just wanted to make it sound better. 160 sounded really good there on a 200-pointer. But it has a walkthrough. So I just kind of followed the walkthrough. And I think I didn't really understand what was going on. You have to make like selections. So everything has one of 4 gods affect it. And little shout out. One of the people that worked on the walkthrough was no other than Freemhole. He was the contributor, so I feel like I really let him down. So I'm sorry, man. But I might get to where it all went wrong for me here in a second. But basically, you choose one of 4 gods' responses. So, like, if you're trying to appease Athena, you would choose something. I forget which one she is, or you'd like try to be more warlike or something like that. Or if you're trying to do Hermes, you're trying to be more whatever logic based or something. So you have 4 possible responses, and so if you respond that way, you earn points towards that god, and you spend those points to get improvements in their skill set, kind of a thing. So you improve your character. And so to knock this out in only 2 playthroughs, you knock out 2 gods 1 playthrough and the other 2 the others, my understanding. Not that I got anywhere remotely close to doing that. Other than that, there's some achievements for attacking and killing things in certain ways, killing them with a hammer, killing them with a spear, busting. I like the Nutcracker, busting 30 enemy shields, all those. So I did well with those, and I even did well with the aligned. There's a whole bunch of achievements related to your choices. So, for example, make 5 Apollo aligned dialogue choices, make 5 Hermes aligned dialogue choices. So I did well with that. I didn't have any problems with that. A lot of this stuff was difficult to find because there's a lot of collectibles, and you got to find everything so that you can get all the collectibles, and the walkthroughs telling you where to go. But Freemo, you could probably use a little more specific language here and there on what you were talking about. And then there's like these statues everywhere. So there's a lot going on here. And so I got all the way to this one island, and I got to do a shout out to my favorite achievement in the game. Not that I have a lot of them. It was the penultimate achievement I got before I hit a roadblock, and that is this one achievement, and it's called Heroic Patience. That's got to be my favorite achievement of the year that I've gotten, as far as humorous. And so it is Heroic Patience. It's only worth 10 gamer score. It has a 1.56 ratio. And its description is tolerate Bolo's singing. All right. So, seriously, you got to look this one up. So basically, the people that made this game make you go into this market. So you stumbled into this market, and there's this little boy standing there, and you have this dialogue with him, and he's like being told that he needs to rob people because that's how he's going to earn a living, and because he's like adopted and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, maybe you shouldn't do that. And blah, blah, blah. And so you have this dialogue with him. And then he's like, hey, you want to hear my song? And then you don't really have a choice. He just starts in on it. And so he starts singing this song about fish for sale. And it's as awful as you can imagine. It's like, this, child whiny voice going, fish for sale, fish for sale. And it goes on and it goes on, and then it dramatically pauses, and then he goes into the second verse.
I feel like,
oh, go ahead.
I feel like we need to somehow pull out this achievement and give it to Fug every time he listens to an episode of the show where Elle is singing.
There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say
maybe it can be edited in.
About Elle singing.
Maybe it can be edited in. I don't know. But you might say, why does this have a 1.56 ratio? Because it gives you 2 different chances to say that's enough, that'll do, or something like that, and shut him up. But otherwise, you just sit there and you just have to take this song right to your face. And so I purposely turned it up a notch because Kelly was sitting on the couch next to me. And by the time he hit the third verse, she looked up and she's like, what the hell is this thing? And then I explained to her how funny this achievement is. And it takes a lot longer than you would think for this joke. And so if nothing else for this game, you got to look up this achievement. I'm sure it's on YouTube. It's funny. And so props to whoever made this game. I've forgot, but props to them for a really funny achievement in the game. And so maybe the editors can put that a little taste of that into this episode at some point of Fish for Sale. Now, where did it all go wrong for me? Well, all right, so here's what happened. I got to this one part where I get arrested. Oh man, I didn't do anything wrong. I just was in the wrong place, and I'm being framed by my uncle. And so, never mind that I've killed just hundreds of people on the way to this location. I mean, I've killed more people than polio at this point. And so, I get into this one room, and then there's like 6 guards around me. Granted, I've killed like 10 guards at a time other times, but there's 6 guards, and I guess they were really intimidating because I go ahead and surrender. Never mind that I have freaking, what is his name? Hercules standing next to me, and he looks what you would think he looks like. I mean, he's very top heavy, and, he looks like a walking triangle, and he actually has veins in places I didn't even know you could get veins. Like, that's another part I really liked about this game, is he has this mysterious vein on his pec that like throbs during it. And I love that. That was hysterical. But
This is just your new life quest to figure out how to get that vein.
Yeah, I was like, dang, how do you get a vein on top of that? I mean, I got a few veins that I like, but man, I don't have one there. And then, so you have him standing next to you. Never mind, he could probably pick one of these guards up and rip them in half, and then feed one half to another guard. I mean, this guy, you're not taking him down. He takes an arrow in one of the cutscenes right to the chest, and he doesn't even flinch right before he grabbed the archer by the neck and threw him all the way across the room. So, spoiler, yeah, it's an opening sequence. And so, anyway, so you have all this at your disposal, and you surrender, and so then you're in prison. Oh, okay. I guess we forgot that we were a very formidable opponent, so we're just going to surrender and lose all our gear and go into prison. So now you're in prison. You must fight your way out, and this is the part that got to me. And you have to apparently do 3 fights, and with the 3 fights, you have to recruit this one dude. So you don't have to look out for your own. You have to look out for yourself and this jerk named Pythias. All right. So Pythias is this little opposite of Hercules, and he's sitting there with this little what do you call those things? The little goat boy has one, and it's like a musical instrument,
like a little guitar kind of thing,
like a harp thing, you know.
Okay, yeah.
You know, you like run your fingers across it. Well, he has one of those, and that's, I guess, his weapon. And so he's like, I'm not a fighter. And you're like, don't worry, just follow my lead. And so he goes into the arena with you. And according to the walkthrough that Freemhole, it was a contributor to, it says, it says, make sure he doesn't take action. Save here because he has to survive! ! Okay, so so I'm like, okay, I guess dude's all right. And that's all that is said about that. And it's just like, kill everyone before they kill your partner. And so I start the battle, and 4 guys rush at me with swords. They're all over the place. I'm killing one over here, and like, they're all trying to get to this little guy, and you know it, they go to a cutscene, and he's taking a sword right through the heart. He falls to his knees and is dead. But you can continue. So I'm like, okay, am I supposed to continue? Am I not supposed to continue? And I was like, well, the walkthrough says that he has to survive. It is very specific that he has to survive. So I restart it, and it's about a 45-second, longer than that. It's probably about 2-minute setup to get to where he actually enters the arena with you, and what do you know, he's dead again. And this poor guy, he's like his heart is like a magnet for a sword, and so this sword just keeps going right, and it impales. Dramatic death scene. All right, reload. Well, you can only do that so many times, because I'm not even getting close. I mean, because I killed those 4 original guys, and then there's like 4 more running at me. I have no idea what you're supposed to do. I have no idea how you're supposed to make this guy survive. Now, granted, I'm playing on the hardest difficulty because that's what I was told in this walkthrough that Freemhole is the contributor to, is that you choose the hardest walkthrough first. So, I don't know what I'm missing. I just know, I was like, well, let me look through the walkthrough. And then, like, he's mentioned several times after. It's like, take so-and-so to Pythias. Talk to Bolo. Send him to Pythias. Talk to so-and-so. Send him to... So apparently he's critical to something in this game. I don't know what. I don't see any achievements actually that mention him by name, but apparently he has to survive for some unknown reason. And whatever it is, it frustrated me to the point that I just stopped right there. I didn't even... I guess I could try a save after he's dead and gone and just see what happens, but or I could probably send a DM to Freemhole and probably get some direction. So yeah, there's that too. But anyway, it was very frustrating. Pythias, you're a jerk. Do some push-ups while you're in those cells or something. I don't know. Toughen up, man.
Well, I have a couple questions for you, actually.
Okay. Is it about Hercules' vein?
It's not on air, but
okay.
This so the different questions with the aligned dialogue choices.
Yes.
Did you get the sense like they're missable, right? So like, do you have to like reload checkpoints to get through them, or do you just get enough opportunity to answer in different ways that you have to be mindful of picking like one each time so that you don't have to do multiple playthroughs?
Well, the walkthrough, I was completely reliant on it, so I didn't even read the dialogue. I just knew what I was supposed to do once they showed up. And you can skip a lot of the cutscenes and a lot of the dialogue. So I wish I could tell you more about what the story is about, but obviously if I'm able to skip a cutscene, I like to skip a cutscene and just kind of make up the story in my mind. But for example, the walkthrough says he'll like the walkthrough has the choices that you need to make in order to achieve what you're trying to do on this playthrough. So it says, for example, enter the cells again and talk to Daedalus. And then it has in parentheses, Athena, Ares, Apollo, Hermes, and so you know what to choose. So the first one you choose Athena, the second time you have a choice, choose Ares. And so it walks through. I don't know what exactly or how exactly. I know that each god's choices aren't available each time. So sometimes you might only be able to choose Athena. Sometimes you might have to choose Hermes in order, I guess, to get to the Apollo choice, because you're trying to do Athena and Apollo in the first run, and then Hermes in whatever one that's not those Ares, the second playthrough is my understanding.
So that actually already answered my second question, but I'm going to just ask it for the record. The second question I was going to ask you is that if you look at TA's webpage for this, the top community review for the game, the preview bit of it says, a tale of great loss, an unspeakable betrayal, and an epic journey to save a true love. I'm guessing you got none of that from what you put into the game.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I know what happens. So they kill your wife, and you get pissed off about it, because obviously, they killed your wife. So I think that's the great loss part. The betrayal, I think, is the uncle. I don't know. Right before I left, it was an unskippable cutscene, and I told some dude to become... I was like, you have to serve as king while I'm away. And so while I'm out off on the ship. And so he's like, oh, I couldn't possibly. And you're like, no, you must. And so I think, but the guy had an evil face. You know how some people have just an evil face? Well, he had an evil face, man. I think it was his...
Was he twizzling his mustache?
No, but he literally had a pointy goatee.
Oh, yeah. That is the sign of an evil man.
Yes, he had an evil face.
Yes, for sure.
And so then I think I saw a cutscene right before I skipped it where he was talking to some of the people that you've been killing. So I can only assume that he set me up, and that's why I got imprisoned, because I couldn't, free myself with 6 people standing around for some reason, with Hercules at my side.
Okay. Final question for me, at least.
Sure.
Seeing as you did skip through dialogue choices, and part of it I think might be informed by the fact you're playing on the hardest difficulty, so you're maybe spending more time in battle than maybe you would if you're playing on an easier difficulty. Do you think you have any inclination at all to maybe go back and start the game on a lower difficulty so you can try to push a little further through, or is it sort of all or nothing for you with regard to this game?
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I need to send that message to Freemhole, maybe, and get a little direction to see, okay, worst case scenario, Freem, what if, hypothetically, Pythias just takes a sword to the heart? Hypothetically, would I be able to still kind of do everything I need to do in the first playthrough? But I assume, I don't know if it affects the finishing up the choices for Athena and Apollo. I don't know if he has to live in order to do that. I just know that it was very specific that he must survive, and then but see, when he's mentioned later on, it's only mentioned like a few times, and it has to do with choices. So I don't know. Maybe I could I don't know if there's extra ones. I don't know how much leeway you get on this. And, okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't feel...
Before you fire off that message to Paul Freemhole...
Who's the contributor.
Yeah. He's a contributor. I must say that I've done a bit of digging, and although he contributed to the walkthrough, he hasn't actually played the game, according to his tag at least. So I'm not sure what he's contributing exactly.
Sometimes you can contribute to a review just as an editor, like just as an aside. Like if somebody, I think this actually happened with Elle one time. There was a friend of ours who was writing a walkthrough, but English wasn't his first language, so they asked Elle to proofread, and something like that would be enough to get you contributor status so long as that person says, hey, this person helped me.
Oh.
So contributor doesn't necessarily mean that they knew the game or wrote significant parts of the walkthrough.
Well,
But if you don't want to send a message to Freemhole because that would just be rude, how about sending one to Mr. Freaky Rowe, our community member who has completed the game?
oh, that's right. He did say something, and he said something about how that was a gem, and I didn't say anything other than my struggle. And I think I forgot to check back. He might have even posted solution. I just now remembered I did that.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually to hear your like negative leaning take on the game, because it seems like most people that have brought up the game sort of bringing it up as being a hidden gem. I know review wise, it didn't necessarily review highly on TA in terms of community review. The community review on there right now is about a 3.2 out of 5. But it seems like the folks who took the time to finish it enjoyed it. And ask Freaky for help. But it looks like Mattism also completed the game, so Mattism might have some advice for you as well.
Ah, maybe. And as far as the owner of the walkthrough, it is a bunch of numbers and letters, and then the dude's from Austria, and so maybe.
Oh,
so
yeah, that particular contributor wrote a ton of walkthroughs.
Oh.
He's very prolific.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, maybe that's not the case.
Yeah.
Then. Maybe he played it because Hercules had the same vein as his childhood hero from Austria.
All right. Any other thoughts on Rise of the Argonauts?
Well, let me just say, if I'm painting a bad picture, it's not necessarily because of the game itself. It's because of my own inadequacies. It was just really frustrating. And it was just that one line that says he must survive, and it just wasn't happening for me. So up until that point, I mean, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was all right. It's a lot of hunting and looking for collectibles that I don't like to do. But other than that, the gameplay was all right. So I wouldn't steer you away from this game. I just, if you're going for the completion and Pythias must live, then you may have an issue.
All right.
Fantastic.
So, Chewie, what about your month?
Well, I guess it's nice to hear you guys, staying humble. It's important to stay humble. Whereas in my case, I absolutely smashed it.
Oh.
And by smashed it, I mean I smashed a load of Lego bricks.
Oh, nicely done.
Yes. My game for the month was Lego Lord of the Rings. And I don't know if you can cast your mind back as far as June, but our Canadian community member, Jablach, challenged the whole community to play as many Lego games as we had available. And by the end of the month, everyone was seeing blocks before their eyes. The two games that I chose for the challenge were Lego Lord of the Rings and Lego Batman 3, because I'd already started both of them. And then I thought, why not stack podcast segments and have the Lego challenge and back-to-back stacked with Lego Lord of the Rings.
That's working smart.
Oh yes, efficiency in all things. It is, I mean, what is there to say? It's a Lego game.
Ugh.
They're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I know your feelings on the matter, Elroy. I can't remember. You've played a few.
I think I had the misfortune of starting 2 of them.
Well, yeah, but if you've only started them, you really haven't scratched the surface, because they really do develop and change the more you play the game. And I'm completely lying about that. Once you've played 5 minutes, you've played the whole thing.
So I burned out on them with Lego Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's one of the ones I did.
The end for me. Now, I've played some since. I've played The Force Awakens. I've played Marvel Avengers. So I've played some since then, but that Lego games used to be my standby GameFly game back when GameFly was more of a thing, where, I'd pay my $8 a month or whatever it was, and I'd get a Lego game and I'd play through it to completion. I'd send it back and I'd get another. And I don't know how you all did that. Played Lego that much for 1 month, because I think that was like a 6-month period, and that was it. I was done. I still haven't returned to them the way I played them before.
I mean, I only did like a bit of 2 games. Elroy and Retro Chief, they were like 7-8 full game completions. That was insane.
And then you had like Chesno and Vulgar also put up a bunch, and Jables obviously put up a bunch. So yeah, that was a lot of Lego.
It's probably not fair of me to say that they are all exactly the same. The core gameplay loop is very similar. It's each game is based around a franchise, usually a film or a set of films. You've got a bunch of levels which broadly relate to scenes from those films, and it's mostly just about smashing stuff, smashing bricks, smashing elements in the environment to reveal things that you can then build or puzzles that you can solve and interact with. And then usually the characters have some powers or some abilities that relate to their characters in the films, which allow you to then progress using those powers. And this is basically the same thing. What we've got here is we've got all three of the original Lord of the Rings films represented. You've got about 6 levels for each film, so that's 18 total. And yeah, you're following along with the storyline from Lord of the Rings, and it's got all of your favorite characters in there. But your mileage for this is really going to be based on how much you enjoy Lego games and how much you enjoy Lord of the Rings. If you're not into either of those two things, this is not going to be your kind of game. It isn't, like I said, it's not fair to me to say that they're all exactly the same, because there is variety in how they kind of tie it into the whatever the franchise is that they're representing. So obviously the Lego Batman stuff is very superhero focused, so there's a lot of flying around and all the powers that you get of like Superman and stuff. Whereas things like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, it's more about kind of magic and wizards and goblins and ghouls and all of that kind of stuff. Also, playing like this one side by side with Lego Batman 3, you can actually really see the quality of life improvements that they've implemented over the years. Lego Batman 3 came out a few years ago. Lord of the Rings is from 2012, so it's quite a few years difference, and you can kind of feel how that's changed. So in the very first Lego games, you had to play the levels at least twice, sometimes 3 or 4 times, to do like time trials and stuff as well. But they've pretty much settled into a familiar pattern now of only needing to play them usually twice. But the levels have got bigger over time. But in Lego Lord of the Rings, what they did was they introduced checkpoints. So if you got like halfway through a level and you needed to go and do something else, you could save the checkpoint, and then when you restarted the game, you'd be able to play from that point, which is really helpful. In Lego Batman 3, you could actually even load back into a specific checkpoint at any point. So if you were going to go back and do that cleanup stuff, you could always go back and just do it. I need to go and kill the boss, so I'll just go and kill the boss. And you could load into that specific checkpoint, which you can't do in Lego Lord of the Rings. The Batman games and the other games have also got really good signposting, but I found the Lord of the Rings game had really bad signposting for some of the puzzles.
Explain real quick what signposting is.
So, like, you're in a level, and you know what you need to smash because it's made of Lego. Anything that's made of Lego in the level, you can pretty much hit it or shoot it and it will smash. And you'll get studs, which is like currency, or you'll get things that you can then use to build. But alongside that are all the kind of puzzle elements, and some of those things are not made of Lego, so you have to kind of find them in the environments. And Lord of the Rings I found particularly bad for this, because one of the abilities is that Frodo can go into a dark cave and light the cave with his, I don't know, candle thing, and then see what's inside the cave, right? But those dark caves are just kind of painted in the background. So I would be in a level, trying to figure out everything, smashing everything, building whatever, and then I'd be like, what do I do? I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing next.
That sounds like a Lego game for sure, then.
Well, exactly. And then you
Right.
notice, hang on, in the back corner of this level is this tiny little black area that you realize, oh, hang on a sec. And then you switch characters to Frodo, and then he walks straight in there and then lights his little candle, and there's the lever that you needed to progress. And you're like, oh, I've just spent half an hour trying to figure that out. And it's stuff like that. And there's not really any of that stuff in, as far as I know, the kind of later games. They're a lot better at kind of making it clear exactly what you need to be doing or how you need to be progressing. Although, you know, there are so many of these that it's not surprising that there are a few kind of shonky kind of design elements like that as you go along.
It's both good and bad, because I find when I'm playing something like Star Wars, everything glows. So things that you can use with one power, it's red, and things that you can destroy with a certain type of weapon will just have like a little sparkle on them, and other things will glow blue. And it drives me insane when I'm playing through the game on the first time to know that I can't do half of that.
Oh,
Like that has always been a thing. Like, I kind of wish with Lego games they would turn all that off on your first playthrough and just highlight important things that you need to progress for the story playthrough. And then in later levels, they turn all those things on, because they're there for good reason. They're there to show you, here are all the things you can interact with, and to give you a hint as to what character to use. Because I imagine Lord of the Rings is like most of them. When you play on free play, which you open after your first playthrough, you can take something like 8 characters into the level with you. And the game will usually pre-assign characters that have the main archetypes for getting through levels. So the character that can double jump, and the character that has an explosive, and those sorts of things. And I just wish they would turn all those things off on your story playthrough, so I could just get through the story playthrough and then do everything I need to do on my cleanup run. But with Lord of the Rings, it looks like, so you got through all the campaign levels, it looks like, right?
Yep, finished the story, and I'm now knee-deep in cleanup.
So that was my, because it looks like you started cleanup, and as is typical with Lego lists, a lot of the cleanup is something between all these collectibles and actually pretty fun things that involve taking one specific character and doing a specific action. So you're still working on this cleanup? Do you think you'll get all the bricks, or do you think you're just kind of going to do that like lower, easier stuff?
I mean, I will end up doing all of it, because I have about 20 other Lego games sitting in my backlog, and I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't start new ones without having completed the ones that are already on my tag. So I have to push through. But I will say that Lord of the Rings it represents the tipping point between when the Lego games were relatively streamlined and they didn't have these massive hub worlds, or if they did, the hub worlds were quite well populated, and then the massive ones that come later. But it's not as rich and full as the massive ones that come later, or as kind of well designed. So Batman 3 is huge. It has multiple hub areas. It has planets to explore. It has hundreds and hundreds of things you can do, but it doesn't feel as much like busy work. In Lego Lord of the Rings, it basically replicates the entire Middle Earth, right? An interconnected hub world of cities and mountains and volcanoes, and you have to wander these areas trying to find things to do, races, characters to interact with, to collect stuff for, and it's huge. But probably the worst thing about it is how it handles the red bricks, those fabled magical red bricks. And the red bricks, if you're wanting to be efficient playing a Lego game, the first thing you should be doing is trying to get those red bricks, those multiplier bricks especially, the ones that really bump up your stud total so that you can buy more red bricks and more stuff in order to be as efficient as possible.
I thought it was all about the gold bricks.
Nah, gold bricks are your ultimate goal to completion, but they don't really give you anything. Red bricks are the ones that give you the abilities, the magnets, the multipliers, the little set of the indicators to tell you where all the mini kits are and stuff. If you get that stuff, it's going to be a lot quicker.
Don't many of the games have cheat codes you can use to unlock a lot of the
I'm listening.
basic bricks, and they don't invalidate achievements? I won't unlock all of them, but you'll be able to get a good number of them, right?
They do, but I'm a good boy, and I don't do them.
Okay.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
I should. And for this one, you really kind of want to, I guess, get started on that. The reason being, the majority of Lego games that I've played, you do your story missions, and you pretty much can't get any red bricks through the story mode. Maybe one or two if you're lucky. But then usually in your free play, you can then target the ones you want to get by replaying specific levels. So I always go for the multiplier ones first, right?
Mhm.
Go for those,
Yeah.
get them in the free play levels, bump up my score, and then it's just a rolling, boulder to pick up loads and loads of studs and then buy everything. And usually you can just do that by doing a free play level with the right characters. Not in Lord of the Rings. It is such a bloody pain to get these red bricks.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you called it busy work, because I
is
do
busy
remember
work.
what you're talking about. That's like where you collect 10 of this or find 5 that kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about, the red
Yeah.
bricks?
So in this, you have to find a random character in the hub world who wants you to do a fetch quest. So you'll find like some dude and he'll be like, "Hey, I could really do with some orc boots. Could you get me some orc boots, please?" So then you have to figure out where the orc boots are. And the orc boots could be hidden somewhere in the hub world. They could be hidden in a level. So you have to go back and replay a level to find those boots. Or if it's a mithril item, so it'd be like a mithril orc boots, then you have to find the blueprint in a level. Then you have to take that blueprint to a blacksmith in a hub world, and then hope that you've got enough mithril bricks, and mithril bricks in this game are like the gold bricks in the other games, to purchase the item, so the blacksmith will make it for you. Then take the item back to the dude and say, "Here's your mithril orc boots." "Oh, thanks very much. Here, have a red brick." And he gives you the red brick, but then you can only buy the red brick if you've got enough studs to pay for it.
Oh, what a pain.
So you have to do that every single time you want to unlock a red brick in order to then get the abilities to go back to the free play levels to then collect everything that you would want to collect and find everything. So it really adds to that time to kind of completion. Very inefficient.
You said that you find it all, you have to go back to levels, find it, go here and find it, and all this and that. I would be trying to find it on YouTube. Is the support there on YouTube kind of showing you where everything is?
Oh yeah, there's guides, there's walkthroughs. It's all available, and again, you can try and, as I'm trying to do, make it as efficient as possible by saying, well, if I get for this one first, then this one, then that one, that's going to be the best kind of route. But if you didn't have any of that stuff available, it would just be like a complete mess of like figuring it out. Absolutely, yeah, busy work. Like the Lego games are busy work. This is like next level.
I find it telling that, like, I want to say the shorter Lego games come in at like 20 to 25 hour completions. This one's 25 to 30. They're all quite, they take quite a bit of dedication if you're planning to complete them, that's for sure. And it doesn't sound like this one varies from that at all.
Yeah, and I think most of them, they have a certain mileage, and once you've hit that point, it's like really kind of that thing, well, do I want to push through to that completion? You're going to literally probably be doubling your playtime, right? At least, after completing the storyline. And a lot of them still feel quite fun, but this one, for me, it just doesn't. It just feels very kind of
I actually have something positive to say about this game. So you heard it here first. I actually have something I'd like to say positive about a Lego game, and this one in particular. So here goes. There's actually 2 achievements on there that I really like, and that I really enjoy that they included them. So one is, one does not simply ... and then the description says walk into Mordor. I love that line in the movies. And then the other one is there's an achievement for taking the hobbits to Isengard. So,
yeah.
So, if I had to say, if I was forced to say something positive about this game, I like those 2 achievements. I would never play it, but I do like those 2 achievements.
Yeah, I shouldn't bag on it too much. It's light and fun and funny, and it's actually, I think, the first game as well when they did full voice acting on the Lego
I was going to
characters.
ask that. I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Yeah, so before this it was all silent slapstick kind of comedy style, and this one is the first one where they kind of almost recreate the scenes with full voice acting. Although, having said that, I feel like it's less funny than the earlier games because of that. They're trying to stick a lot more closely to the storyline. They do have some funny moments and some kind of slapstick stuff, but it feels a little bit more kind of clear-cut and dry than the earlier games, which were played for laughs a little bit more.
Are the voices actual actors, or they're just people imitating the actors' voices?
I can't tell. They're
that
good
good.
problem,
they're that good.
Yeah.
So I think it's people recreating it, because then there are like silly lines and jokes and stuff peppered in as well. So I don't think they're just lifting samples from the films. But I think in Lego Jurassic Park they are just lifting samples from the films. At least that's what people have kind of hinted at. I haven't played that one yet, but in this one I think it's they're recreating it using actors, not the same actors, I assume.
Does a little tune play in the background when you get the taking the hobbits to Isengard achievement?
I didn't know. No, I really wanted that to be the case, but yeah, there's a lot of jokes and stuff.
Yeah, Lego games, one thing they are very good about generally is having achievements that really acknowledge the source material. So there's always good stuff to find in there in all of these games, where it's not just the very basic things that people have heard, but like if you really know the source material, you go, oh, okay, whether it's the books or the films, there's plenty of stuff in there that you can take away and go, that's cool. But then it's, do I really want to spend the 30 hours it's going to take me to be able to throw a dwarf 30 times?
Yeah. Batman 3 especially, Lego Batman 3, you can feel the absolute love for the source material coming through that game. They have so many hundreds of characters, and like every time Superman flies, it plays the old Superman theme from the movies. And they have like all these jokes about the movies themselves, the TV shows. Like you get to replay the old 1960s Batman TV show, and like all of that stuff it's a love letter to the source material, and I'd say that's the case for a lot of these games. But if you want to play a Lego game, I'd say the Batman games are the best of each generation of Lego games, 1, 2 and 3. So if you're going to pick ones, pick those ones over any others, personally.
Or just don't pick any of them. I mean, just saying. Just saying.
I remember reading somewhere at some point that there are effectively 2 teams that work on Lego games, because they're such a big undertaking that they can't have the same crew working on that game annually. It won't get done. So there's, I think, too, some logic to like, you kind of figure out which team is the team that you like, the way they approach the games, and those games will generally ring truer for you. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but that's something I had heard in the past.
That's interesting. No, I didn't know that.
All right, I think with that is our recap for what we did last month. So let's just go around one more time real briefly and talk about what we have to work on before the next time we record. I am going to be working on, as I alluded to before, Conflict Denied Ops. Conflict is not good. I would not recommend it to anybody. But back in the day when you were trying to get easy, quick, true achievement differential, one of the best ways to do that was games with long dead multiplayer. So you wouldn't necessarily do something like a Gears that a lot of people played at some time, but you do a game like Conflict Denied Ops or a game like Ruse, where you got great ratio for doing almost nothing. So 8 years ago, I played and completed all of the online multiplayer in Conflict. And at that time, I had started playing the co-op with Toadstyle Venom, aka Stan, aka Steve. And we played one level, and we were trying to go for an achievement to have both of us not die during the level. We're close to the end, and Steve goes, "Hey, there's a guy in that," and then I died. So we hadn't played the game in the 8 years since. We picked it back up again recently, and I have managed to get that achievement. So we're going to keep working through it, but the hard thing about this game going forward, so we'll see how much we accomplish together, is if you play the game in co-op online, and there are achievements for playing the game in co-op, if you both die, you get kicked back out to the lobby screen and you have to start the stage from the beginning again.
Ugh.
No thanks.
So there's no checkpointing. It's, very much one stage at a time, and you have to have a lot of patience, and spawns seem to be a little random on enemies, so you'll be sitting in a hallway just like you cleared out everybody, right? And then someone will come right up behind you and kill your partner or yourself, and so there are going to be challenges going through it this way. We started on normal and promptly decided we needed to drop to easy just to get it done. So we'll be working on that together, and I'll also be playing solo because there is stage-specific stuff to do that will be easier when we're not worried about one of us dying. So that is what I have on deck. What are you going to be working on, Elroy?
Well, I decided to play another hidden gem. And by hidden gem, I mean it has a 1.9 star ranking. Thank you, Chewie, for that. I'm playing it for our little battle that we have going. And it is no other than F4 ROTSS, as it says on my app. And I was like, what the heck is that? And then I realized that was Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. That
game is pretty legendarily terrible, yeah.
Yes, and so several people have finished this one on my friends list. Neither of y'all are among them. So this one, I've started it pretty good. At I think the same amount of gamer score as I got on the Argonauts. I got 140. I think I had 160 on the other one, but 140 gamer score right now, and everything was going well. It's brutal trying to find all these freaking collectibles, but I'm hit the hardest stage in the game, which is this military base where all of a sudden these little turrets just run around the corner and start shooting you, and then it's like 3 shots and you're dead. And it's getting a little frustrated. I'm not going to lie. It's getting awful frustrating, especially when you're running around looking for collectibles and you get shot, by a little turret thing. So I guess we'll find out. Will I prevail? Yeah. So I don't know. It's
And I'm a little
dreadful.
concerned given how well Rise of the Argonauts went with you hitting a problem spot and not exactly pushing through. I'm a little concerned.
Yeah.
Just a little concerned.
I can't do it. I can't mail it in 2 months in a row, right? No, come on. I gotta push through here. I mean, it's not like it's this huge. It's not like getting 30,000 in Plinko or anything. I mean, it's only got a 1.5 ratio. I don't know why I'm in so much trouble with it. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and Chewie, what about you?
So I will also be playing a co-op game primarily. I will be and another licensed game as well. So there's a theme here. I will be playing Star Trek.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, have you done that one? Oof.
So, quick side story. Actually, I played Star Trek with OSU Blue Jacket. Actually, who was also a news hound. It says where Chewie and I first crossed paths when we were volunteering on TA. And we had gotten a copy of the game actually for review purposes, I want to say. And OSU Blue Jacket wound up writing it. But the game is, I can't wait to hear what you think about it next month.
So I have been dived it with my G-Tasked teammate Lego Head 1977, who is now in the community as well. And the first mission was it was very glitchy.
That's what I remember. Is there was a lot of I can't walk past this ledge because there's a thing there.
Yeah,
maybe.
So our experience, our most memorable experience so far with the game was a cutscene, which then immediately following the cutscene, Spock literally fell through the ceiling into the floor. He just like 100 miles an hour. So it was like, wait, where's Spock? And then suddenly, vroom, he was there. And it wasn't part of the game. It wasn't by design.
Well, I very much look forward to hearing your take on that, because I definitely have some memories of that one.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
And with that, I think we're all set on back-to-back for this month or segment or whatever period of time we choose to use. So if you have any comments or anything else you'd like to throw our way about Back to Back, you can, of course, reach us all most easily via Discord. We're all pretty present at the Achievement Hunting 101 Discord, which you can find at discord.io/AH101. If you'd like to participate in the segment or even submit a small clip about a non-backwards compatible game that you've played, feel free to do so by reaching out to any of us on the Discord or over private message.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Achievement Hunting 101's fifth and final installment of the Dreamfall Chapters game club. With me is Chewie on Ice.
Oh boy.
And I'm Waka Pale. Book 5 opens with Zoe's purple personal assistant Wonkers greeting you as you wake up in your bed. He informs you that you've been in a coma in Casablanca for a very long time. Wonkers tries to get you back to sleep. Zoe doesn't want to go back to sleep. She is trying to find a way out of her room, but it is locked.
This was super creepy. I found this creepy robot monkey being like, just go back to sleep, Zoe. You look very tired. You should just go back to sleep.
Yeah, and they changed the voice actor for Wonkers as well. He was in the previous game. Zoe also mentions that he sounds wrong.
When this scene started, my first thing was like, yes, I was right the whole time. When I said she's in the coma, she's been asleep the whole time, it was all a dream. But then when he started behaving like that, I was like, hang on, no, there's something more going on here. It's a lot more complex than just it was all a dream.
Zoe's memories are messed up, but they return gradually as you explore the hospital room. You notice several inconsistencies.
Yeah, so this was kind of like a puzzle where you had to figure out what memories weren't real. The photos that she'd got of like her graduating when she didn't actually graduate, and with her mum when she never actually had a relationship with her mum.
As you find memories that are not entirely correct, the room starts glitching.
Yeah, pretty weird. The whole world starts to glitch out on you.
Eventually, Zoe remembers everything and sees through the illusions around her. She finds an exit leading to a long white corridor. She walks through a force field and finds herself in a strange bodysuit.
Yeah, all of her hair has been shaved off. She's got some kind of anodes in her head. She's in a jumpsuit. I've written here WTF capital letters because this was when it got really, really mind-melty.
And the scene quickly changes over to Bip, who is okay. He was not cut up, and General Hami has decided to side with Kian. He is not a fan of genocide either.
No, I wasn't sure about his arc on this point because he's been fighting for the Asadi this whole time, presumably engaging in some violent acts against various people, and he seems to flip very easily to Kian's side when he realizes it's a little bit worse than he thought it was.
Technically, he still fights for the Asadi. He just doesn't want anything to do with Cyan Vamon and the Office of Scientific Progress.
Yeah, he's not cool with, genocide by way of plague. He's okay with a few battles, but not the complete annihilation of a species. I guess he doesn't want innocents as well dying, as opposed to soldiers.
You are given a choice what to do with Sister Alessandra.
All of the choices here basically said she's pretty much definitely going to die either way. It's just whether you want her dead here right now, whether you want to send her to face trial and then probably be executed, or if you just want to leave her with the prisoners, because they will probably kill her as well.
Well, with the risk, if you send her to Sadirs, she might be saved by the Office of Scientific Affairs.
I thought it was poetic justice that the prisoners would decide how to deal with her.
You learn that Mother Utana sent General Hami to Gien to intercept Kian. Kian and General Hami intends to return to Mercuria and thwart Cyan Vamon's plans.
And in my version, I had Liko with me as well, and the general was pretty cool about Liko. He didn't have any prejudice or anything. He was just like, oh, cool, thanks, man.
Mercuria is celebrating Reap Moon's Eve, and the Prophet, Saya and Vamon intends to activate the engine. Vamon knows of Kian and the General's return to Mercuria, but chooses not to inform the Prophet.
This is the first time we've properly seen the Prophet, I think. Like,
in this game.
Properly, yeah. So this was my first experience with him, and he was all kind of thinking he was some kind of boss with his gold mask and his big staff and his cape. And it kind of, because we discussed about the female-led sisters kind of ruling everything. I wasn't sure where he fits into that hierarchy. Is he above them? Are they just following his orders?
He is coming in from the side.
Yeah.
He is a third party that sought help from the Asadi.
I wasn't sure why they, apart from furthering their own goals, why they're really helping him. I suppose we find that out.
Saya is not happy with withholding information from the Prophet.
Yeah, she's a lot more kind of devout to his cause, whereas Verman seems to be more in it for himself at this point.
Scene changes to the Rooster and Kitten, where Hami and Kian holds a joint speech to the rebels and to Hami's men. They intend to destroy the engine and arrest or kill Saya and Vamon.
Hami makes a very rousing speech about how magic is a part of everything, and he's always felt that since a young age, despite then waging a war against it in later life. But he's cool about it now.
Before leaving, Kian can walk and talk with the rebels before setting out for his mission to destroy the engine.
And Inu is alive and kicking, in my version.
She was not there in my version, neither was Liko, who was very dead.
Sad times, yeah. I had them both with me, as well as Anna, and Firdaus comes back in as well at this point, the science bloke.
Anna stops you before leaving, and if you press her, she admits that she was the one who informed Mother Utana. Firdaus will help you destroy the engine.
Yeah, no one seems to understand what he's talking about. He talks about crashing it, like crashing a computer, and the word crash causes concerns for these kind of people who don't talk in that kind of technological terms, so they think he literally means crash into it.
Kian leaves Rooster and Kitten, finding the Reap Moon festivities outside. The Asadi are not happy at all. They are not comfortable being around all the drunk people, and they are very drunk. They are setting things to fire. They're having sex in public.
Yeah, everyone's partying and burning stuff. All of this, everything is made of wood, and they seem very keen to set everything on fire. They're literally playing with fire here.
Kian comments that this seems like a really, really bad idea, considering most houses are partly built from wood.
Alcohol, lots of wood, fire. It's not a great combination.
Kian is not a fan of the festivities, but the Asadi are even more uncomfortable as most of them do not usually drink. Walking through Mercuria, you find Honor Hilaris.
This guy.
He has captured Crow and put him in a cage and intends to burn him alive.
This guy. Ugh. I mean, fair enough, I guess. Crow did cause one of his goons to get knocked out, so he has a personal vendetta against Crow, but I've got quite fond of Crow at this point, so I was quite determined to fix this situation.
Kian has not really interacted much with Crow before, so he gets a bit surprised when Crow asks him to help him by name.
Yeah.
Crow also says that he knows a way to get inside the tower where the engine is.
Yeah, that basically saves his life, because Kian is more motivated by that fact than to simply save him out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah, at first it says, I don't have time for this, but once he's told that Crow knows how to get inside the tower undetected, he is all for saving him. There's a merchant close by selling some alcoholic beverages, and you trick him into putting some probably magical wine into a flagon, and then you use that to sabotage the kindling, which explodes as Honor Hilaris tries to light the bonfire.
Yeah, this was quite a fun little puzzle. You presented with, I think, 6 different wines, and you can try all of them. And as I did, not all of them are quite as effective at dealing with honor.
There's also water.
And there's water, yeah. There's water in the bird fountain, yeah. So there is a couple of miscellaneous achievements that I picked up along the way. I had the guide just to make sure I didn't miss them. And there's a random funny one where you have to drink the water from the bird bath.
That was like drinking the Shadow's sulphurous piss. I'm reasonably certain that had bird shit in it. I just drank bird shit. This was not a well-considered action by any measure of things.
But yes, you got an achievement for drinking bird poo water, which is quite fun.
You save Crow as Honor burns. A guard comes by and says that he probably won't survive the night.
Yippee!
Crow immediately takes you to the tower. As the scene changes and Roper Clax is set free from a cell by the Prophet, whom he calls Master.
This is where it all becomes clear that they're all in cahoots. Evil wizard bloke and Prophet up to no good together.
I read up a bit on Roper Clax. This is not in the game. It came with an extra book they sent with the game called The Tome of the Balance. And apparently when Clax was a child, he had another name. A wizard called Roper Clax showed up and his family dismissed them. And when they did so, he got upset, but this Roper wanted to teach his family a lesson. And the wizard gave him a potion which he thought would just make them sick or something, but it ended up killing them, so he killed his entire family. And then he sought revenge on the wizard, killed him, and took his identity.
Nice.
So he was a really bad guy from the start.
Yeah.
Kian ends up at the Journeyman Inn. This secret entrance is boarded up. Crow despairs that they won't have any chance to destroy the flimsily boarded up door.
Yeah, but rather than finding a key in a long drawn out puzzle, you take the action approach.
Okay, violence. I'm not used to adventuring with people who resort to violence. I have to say, it's very refreshing not having to look for keys or levers or trying to trick wizards into lowering bridges. We should have brought you along from the start. You would have saved us a lot of time.
Let's go, Bird.
Crow. Seriously.
You have been here before in the previous games, but this is the first time for Kian.
Yeah, I picked up on that because he makes reference to April Ryan having been there before and doing the puzzle that we have to do, that Kian does unsuccessfully.
And Zoe as well. Crow sings to a wall, which opens a secret passage, but it's way too small for Kian. I'm tone deaf, and I couldn't figure out the music puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
Was that just me, or was it really difficult?
No, it wasn't too hard. It's just a series of 4 notes, and you have to discover if it's the high note, the medium note, or the low note, and you just play it in that order. But yeah, being tone deaf will not help you in that scenario.
I couldn't tell the difference. I could tell that there were 3 different notes, but I couldn't tell what.
You're basically Kian then, because he doesn't get it either. I mean, he sings the right tune, but he's so unmagical it just doesn't work.
Luckily, the subtitles eventually gives you the solution after a few tries.
Right.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work. You need to find a magic item to open the passage. Fortunately, it is close by.
Yeah, it's this random magical egg, which obviously has more meaning from the previous games, but it's being used as a lantern at the moment. I'm not sure by whom and why.
It was probably left there as it's just a part of the key to get through the secret entrance. Probably left there by either April or Zoe. Probably April. Kian manages to activate the secret passage and goes through it. Scene changes to the Asadi priestesses preparing the ceremony for the activation of the engine. They are under watch by the Prophet. Did you notice that load times were fairly quick this episode?
I think so, actually, yeah. Considering how often it changes, it didn't feel like I was sitting around waiting as much as in previous episodes.
Most of the areas were fairly small, but this scene changed very frequently. The load times were way better than in Book 2 in particular.
Yeah, I did notice how slow they were in those ones, and I did notice all this one, so it must have been a lot quicker, considering how often it changes.
Kian needs to take a short boat ride to the engine.
Yeah, yeah, this was funny.
Row, row, row your boat gently across the deep, dark, eldritch subterranean lake filled with all kinds of ancient, tentacly weirdness and sleeping gods.
Please, bird, silence.
Crow! And I'm just trying to lighten the mood, big guy. You need to laugh more.
I laugh when it's appropriate to do so.
Show me.
What? No. I won't perform for you like a trained ape man.
Come on. You can do it. It's easy. Like this. See? Open your mouth, smile, push air through. I mean, I have a beak. I don't know how it works for you humans, but if I was going to guess...
Ha! Ha ha! Huh?
That's sad. Frankly, that was disturbing. Please don't ever do that again.
You have my word.
Good. So, did you and April ever hook up? You know, mate, copulate?
No. Bird, you need to learn common decency. And I am gay. I don't mate with women.
Interesting. I prefer females myself, but it's not like there's a lot of us around, whatever my species is. And as long as I'm not starting a family of my own, who cares, really? Although I would like to start a family, I'm getting on. It may not show, but I've plucked some gray feathers, and I can feel it in my wings. Most mornings, they're stiff as dry twigs. I won't be around forever. It would be nice with a young wife to take care of me in my twilight years, to regurgitate my food and care for our hatchlings. I'd like to pass down some of the wisdom I've acquired through my journeys across the world, and all the jokes.
They arrive at the dream vortex, located right below the tower and the engine. The engine being rather large.
Yep, time for some climbing.
The Temple of the Sentinels used to be where the tower is now, but you have not heard anything about the Sentinels, so I'm leaving it at that.
No.
New scene, Vamon slaughters Hami and his men.
So in the scene when Hami makes his speech, Kian and Hami have a discussion where they say, well, we're expecting probably quite a few of Vamon's soldiers to just surrender and join our side after they find out what's going on. And then in this scene, it kind of seems like that's really not happened because he literally gets surrounded and stabbed to death.
Soldiers attempt to get into Firdaus building with the computer console. I don't know if they just think doors are easier to replace or repair since there are large windows overlooking the console, but they are trying to get in using a RAM.
And if they're trying to kill them, they could just set it on fire. I mean, there's plenty of fire going around at the moment. No one would notice a building being set alight.
Well, it's an important building as a part of the engine, and I'm not sure they know that Firdaus has switched sides.
He had Anna and Inu with him in my version as well.
I mean, if you had a intruder in your house, would you burn it down?
No, maybe. If I can claim on the insurance.
Kian gets on top of the engine and sees Roper Clacks operating it. Kian is not familiar with Roper Clacks.
Except for his statue in the Office of Scientific Doodahs, which I don't think he realizes it's the same person.
Which was supposedly were 100 years old or something like that, so... I think I said 1,000 last time, but it's 100 years earlier when Clax was the Necromancer King. Kian needs to take care of him, before he can communicate with Firdaus. Kian confronts Klax. Klax reveals he built the engine and calls himself an engineer. He calls over to someone behind you. I'm guessing you got killed here.
First time, yeah. Yeah, he tries to distract Kian. Turns out there's no one there, and if Kian turns around, he gets stabbed.
If you do not, he pulls a dagger and you punch him out before he manages to stab you. Firdaus didn't think this plan through. You apparently need to be 2 people, and he had no idea that Crow was going to show up. You need to activate 2 distant switches at once. As you do so, Mother Utana shows up.
I've kept my eye on this engine, trying to learn what it can do. Kian, I need to tell you something important, and we don't have much...
Okay, remind me again about that sign you're supposed to give me, Kian. Was it 1 arm above your head, or... Oh, hello? Wait, what? You 2 actually know each other?
Crow. What?
Does everyone know each other? How many people are there in the world? 5? I guess I should be used to this by now. I've been around you guys long enough, nothing should surprise me. So, Mother, how's the Office of Scientific Research going? You just let me know when you need another message delivered. I'm your bird.
The Office of Scientific... You work for the Office of Scientific Research?
Oh, Kian.
Works? Mother Utana runs the Office of Scientific Research. I know this because I've been a messenger bird for the Mother both in Sadir and here in Marcuria. She's the top dog, numero uno. No one above. She is the Office of Scientific Research.
I was going to tell you, Kian. Just... not like this. Not now. I guess it can't be helped.
You knew about the camps? About the magicals? About what Sister Alessandra was doing? How long? How long have you known? Wait. Are you behind all of this?
I don't know what to say, except... I am truly sorry. Just lie down. I'm sorry. Hold still. Don't die on me. You left me no choice.
What did you do? Did you just stab him? Why?
Shocking twist. Yeah, so throughout this whole thing, they've really been building up Utana as being some kind of sympathizer figure within the Asadi. She's been kind of using Crow, she's been talking with Anna, she's been kind of doing stuff with Harmy, the general, who has obviously got sympathetic tendencies. So she's being positioned as this kind of person who's going to help them. And then it turns out, nope, she's probably worse than everyone.
As she's standing above Kian, she asks him not to die on her.
Yeah, don't stab him then.
The Prophet shows up, wonders what's going on, sees Crow, murders him by force grabbing him and then wringing his neck.
Oh my goodness. That was worse for me than Kian getting stabbed. I'm expecting Kian to die in this storyline. His character arc seems like one that's kind of potentially got a death at the end of it, but not Crow. Not poor Crow.
The Prophet discards Crow's body in the dream vortex, and the scene changes to Zoe running through Jiva corridors. Jiva is Helena Chang's company, who is Zoe's mother, who put her in a coma for 1.5 years.
Right, yeah. And they're kind of linked to Wati Core in some way.
The alarm has been triggered, but there is no one around. Walking the corridors, Zoe discovers incubation pods bearing the names Zoe, Hannah, Hope, and Faith.
Hannah, obviously, then alarm bells ring because there's Hannah from Propost, who is the other dreamer. Faith, I know you've talked about as a character from the previous games. I think it was the sister character, the one that was kind of in the internet. Was that one?
Yep.
But obviously, I only know that from what you've told me, not from anything in this game. And hope I didn't recognize.
Turns out Zoe has 3 sisters, and all of them have been made by Jiva.
So she's a test tube baby.
Soldiers show up looking for you. They radio Watti Central, so they are soldiers from Watti Corp.
They are not messing around.
While you expect they are hunting you, they also kill everyone they see.
The people that they kill were all wearing kind of scrubs, so I assumed they were either scientists or doctors or even kind of patients of some variety. But they are indiscriminate in their massacring of everybody.
They do call out that they are looking for Briar Rose, which is the code name for Zoe.
But they may as well just kill everyone in the meantime.
Yeah, and if you run from them, and they will shoot you if they get the chance. Zoe finds her mother and father held at gunpoint. While the soldiers are confused, Helena releases a gas, knocking down everyone besides her. The scene changes to the Asadi activating the engine. Sister Saya declares victory. The skies go swirly, and the soldiers stop trying to get to Anna and Firdaus.
Yeah, goal has been reached. So at this point, this is like the lowest of the low for everyone involved. Kian has made a desperately failed attempt to turn the engine off, and now it's running, and is now dying along with Crow. And Zoe, her whole world has just completely disappeared, and she is now being gassed by her own mother after being chased by a bunch of soldiers. Things really aren't looking good for anybody.
Zoe wakes up in a pod. Her mother has trapped her in there. Helena Chang wants you to reboot the world.
Yeah, which is kind of an abstract concept.
You'll make a better world. A world without sickness or death. A world without superstition, intolerance. A world where everyone's equal, where justice and compassion will prevail. A world not ruled by corporations or religions, but by science and logic, by rational thought. A better world.
Helena explains that Zoe has been in Mumbai for 1.5 years, but projected herself elsewhere, like she did before from Stark to Arcadia, but in this case from Mumbai to Propost.
In a sense, it was a dream the whole time, except she was dreaming in the real world with a projection of herself in a different place in the real world, which is really mind-blending, mind-melting.
Helena knows about Arcadia. Jiva made Zoe and her sisters to be dreamers. Helena considered Zoe a failed experiment, but Gabriel considered himself Zoe's father and left Jiva when Helena decided Zoe was useless to them.
Yeah, so Zoe's powers hadn't manifested, so they thought she wasn't useful to them, and then they manifest when she first tries a dream machine.
Jiva has manipulated Watticorp into helping them build Aingana, which is Stark's version of the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Believing that Jiva has been helping out Watticorp and not the other way around.
Yeah, and she said that they wanted Zoe to go into Arcadia and find Lux and absorb Lux's power so they could harness that power. So basically everything Zoe's done that she thought she was doing herself was exactly the plan that Helena had the whole time. So she's just basically given Lux to them on a silver platter.
You learn that Ressa has been brainwashed by Watti the entire time.
Which explains why he was being such a completely useless tool, I guess.
Helena wants Zoe to interface with Aingana to change the reality into her liking. She activates Aingana, sending you somewhere else. Crow shows up, and he doesn't feel great.
Yeah, he's not dead.
Or is he?
Well, yeah, he kind of is.
It's difficult to tell here.
It's like a projection of his consciousness or something.
He tells Zoe that you are in reality's blueprint, but he doesn't understand it.
Yeah, he says he's been sent to deliver a message he doesn't understand.
You revisit Westhouse, leaving Stark in the 20th century.
Any sane man would turn around, return to the world he knows, forget what he has learned, and live his life in blissful ignorance. But in truth, it is too late. My choice was made many years ago, when I first embarked on this journey. I cannot turn back. I am at a crossroads. But for me, there is only one path.
And witness him being attacked by the Undreaming in story time. And this is the first time you see it.
Yes, so...
This is the opening scene of the previous game.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so this makes little sense to me. So Westhouse to me is just some random side character who I met in the last episode briefly. He means very little to me. So then for like following him through this journey of being in a monastery and then doing the ritual, going to story time, meeting that vagabond, getting possessed by the Undreaming, like I get it, but at the same time I'm also thinking, wait, who is this guy though? Westhouse. I know nothing about him apart from my 5 minutes that I spent with him in the last episode.
The prophet reveals himself to be Westhouse.
Yeah, which is, you know, the big shocking twist reveal, but...
Well, it really wasn't. It was very obvious if you recently played the previous game.
Yeah, for someone who's new to the game, both the prophet and Westhouse have only been really introduced at this late stage of the game, so they are maybe not as... It's not as big of a reveal as it could have been if they'd been kind of background characters throughout.
The prophet has been mentioned several times. Westhouse is really a side character.
Yeah, but even the prophet, you know, he's an abstract character. He's very much in the periphery. You don't see him as the big bad necessarily. You see kind of Vammon and Sire as the big bad. He's only kind of coming in as the big bad now.
The scene changes to adult Saga returning to the house between worlds. The house has been abandoned and her father left it long ago and they've not met since.
Yeah, it's quite sad.
You need to make an elixir, find a rope and a spatula.
Yeah, this is adventure puzzling again.
Let's see. Elixir of extraordinary extra-human strength, elixir of multiple consecutive climaxes, elixir of selective remembrance. There. Elixir of delayed onset of mortality. That's the one. Keep ticking after you've taken a licking.
More searching around the house for stuff. Random stuff.
Once you have everything you need, Saga knocks down the bricked up door and ends up in Mercuria, more to be specific, somewhere in the engine. Saga's prophecies to fulfill.
With the potion that she made and Kian's predicament, I kind of put two and two together here of what she was hoping to achieve.
Saga turns off some machinery with the spatula and then uses the rope to reach Kian and to give him the elixir.
Convenient.
Saga and Kian have not met before.
No.
Zoe keeps walking around learning more of Westhouse. He has been struggling with the Undreaming. You also learned that Westhouse killed the White Dragon, which you already knew if you played the previous game. Well,
yeah.
You didn't exactly know that it was Westhouse, but it was heavily implied.
Right. I had no idea who that woman was.
The prophet convinces Utana to help him build the engine, and at this point Crow realizes that he was killed. You also find out that the Undreaming has left Westhouse into a soul stone which was put inside Roper Clax.
Yeah, so this explains their relationship and the prophet persuading Clax to build the engine. Although Roper Clax is magical, and the prophet Westhouse's goal is to eliminate all magic. So I'm not quite sure that Roper Clax is quite, I don't know if he quite realizes what his end goal is here.
Maybe not, but Clax has always been a real idiot.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been promised a load of power, but if there's no magic, then surely he has no power.
Well, he would have power if Westhouse kept his promise. Klax is not inherently magical. He has tools and trinkets for that stuff. He doesn't actually. He can't do any magic by himself. He needs.
He's not a wizard. He's not a Gandalf type wizard. He's a potions and spells type wizard.
They call him an alchemist in the previous game.
Okay, that makes more sense then, that he'd go along with this.
You learn that Westhouse's staff is an ancient powerful artifact, and it's conveniently the only thing that can destroy the Soul Stone.
They need to get the Spear of Gobbledygook, that's what I called it.
The staff is called the Silver Spear of Gorimon.
Yeah, Gobbledygook.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Then Zoe meets April Ryan, or a ghost of her.
Yeah.
Zoe vanishes, and Crow and April does so shortly after.
Yeah, I thought this would be the last I'd see of Crow, so it was nice to see him go off with April, because he was her original sidekick.
Zoe returns to her real body, which is still stuck in the pod. She realizes that reality is tearing, and that she can use her dream powers.
What's Helena hoping is happening during this time? Because she's put Zoe in the pod. She turned on her machine, which sent Zoe to the vortex and gave Zoe all this information. But is she expecting it's doing something else that is facilitating her own goals? Because it seemed like what she did was just give Zoe the ammunition to then be used against her.
I don't think she realized that. She thinks that the computer is changing reality into what she wants. She has been given this information by the Prophet, by Westhouse, and I don't think he's been entirely straightforward either.
Right.
What she hopes to accomplish is to make the world a better place. I don't think she realizes that what she's about to do is fuse Stark and Arcadia. And they have a fancy name for it, but I can't remember it.
Yeah, because her goal is to eliminate magic entirely, which is Westhouse's goal, but but he wants to join the two worlds together. Yeah, so he can get back to Stark. Very confusing.
When we had the recap, I explained that Earth was split into two because humanity got so good with technology and magic that they threatened existence, and that's why the world was split. And what's about to happen is that the two worlds are being combined again into one, making humans again very, very powerful.
Right.
So he uses her dream powers to read the mind of Helena to figure out how to get out of the pod. Helena tries to release the gas again, but Zoe stops her, and Gabrielle points a gun at Helena.
The gun is almost bigger than he is.
They had some kind of power suits, the soldiers that were carrying them.
Yeah.
Yes, it's ridiculously large.
But reality is tearing itself apart, so they have other things to worry about.
At this point, a portal to Arcadia opens, which surprises everyone. It turns out that Saga is the one opening the portal. Kian wonders what's going on, and Saga just tells him that she's too busy for introductions right now, and tells Kian and Zoe to start talking.
Yeah, I liked Saga's character in this because she's obviously been told some prophecy that said these are the things that need to happen, and she is not interested in any of the rest of it. She just wants to make sure that she ticks the boxes. You know, get the potion, get the spatula, get the rope, open the portal, get those two talking. Nothing else. Don't talk about anything else. Get it done.
Zoe tells Kian to kill Klax using the spear Westhouse carries. Kian is up for murdering. He's good at that.
Yeah, that's something I can do.
He has trouble following what Zoe is saying, but she dumps it down for him.
Yeah, she offloads all of her knowledge on him.
Which he distills into take spear, murder Klax.
Yeah.
But if we can stop the Prophet by taking his spear and killing a wizard, this is something I can do.
I'm coming with you.
No.
No, you can't. We're not done here.
I'll see the two of you afterwards.
No, you won't. What? Nothing.
As Kian is en route to assassinate Klax, Firdaus and Anna shows up, meeting Saga. Everyone is confused. Saga just says that Anna is unimportant, but Firdaus has a job to do.
Yeah, but he's too busy trying to pick his mouth up off the floor because he's awestruck by the portal between worlds.
Firdaus failed to stop the engine, but he gets help from Wit, Mira's assistant, to create a computer virus.
I liked the moment in this where Zoe brings Firdaus into Stark in order to have that conversation, at which point they then can't communicate with each other. The whatever magic allows them to understand each other in Arcadia doesn't work in Stark, so they have no clue what they're saying to each other.
Fortunately, he can read diagrams.
Yeah.
Westhouse begins altering reality, fusing Arcadia and Stark. Clax notices Kian and pushes him off a bridge using magic. Fortunately, Kian climbs back up, grabs the spear and throws it through Clax, killing him.
Yippee!
The Undreaming escapes into Westhouse, who disintegrates.
Yeah, very satisfying.
Firdaus apparently understands how to stop the engine. The shift Stark closes, and Firdaus begins his work to destroy the engine, and then Vamon shows up.
But he doesn't do anything, he just watches and creeps on them. But Anna notices.
He leaves. Westhouse appears in Stark, where the Castillo family is having a bit of an argument. Zoe and Gabrielle really wants to shut down Aingana. Helena refuses to cooperate. As Westhouse shows up, Helena is a bit upset with him. Westhouse force chokes her, and then force pushes Gabrielle.
Yeah, so this is when he implies that he has been working with Helena the whole time. So him creating the engine and her creating Aingana, it was a symbiotic, deliberate act working together for their own goals rather than independently. It was kind of made clear that they were working together.
Helena mentioned that Aingana was a multidimensional device.
But how did they communicate between the different worlds to do that?
I do not know. There has been communications in the earlier games in the series between worlds, but it's never explained how. Zoe saves Helena, separating the Undreaming from Westhouse. The Undreaming fuses with Lux.
Yeah, so this is all about how the Undreaming being pulled out of the dream has created this imbalance, I guess. And the whole universe is about balance. So by bringing Lux and the Undreaming together, balance has now been restored. That's how I kind of took it.
Firdaus manages to destroy the engine. You learn that the Asadi soldiers turned on Vamon and Saya as the engine started up, believing it was magic.
Yeah, so they did switch sides, but not soon enough to save the general, unfortunately.
Saya makes up a plan to blame the Prophet, declaring her undying love for Vamon, who decides he has his own plan.
We tell them we were misled by the Prophet, like so many others, that we believed we were acting in accordance with the wishes of the goddess. Perhaps the light will shine upon us, and we'll be spared. Or at least, we die with our heads lifted to the sky, redeemed in her glory. Vamon, we can walk the slopes of the first mountain, hand in hand. You'll do this for me, Vamon, because you love me, and you wish to protect me. We share the responsibility for this.
I am not staying here to be arrested, tried and executed in ignominy. Her shame was too great. She jumped. She had misled everyone, including the commander. I will let you take credit as the sole architect of our grand scheme, sire. I grant you that gift.
Oh my goodness, that was a brilliant moment. This was very kind of Game of Thronesy with the kind of shocking twist moment. Actually, I did kind of see it coming when she goes on this whole, it's okay, we can fix this, we can do it. You do this and I'll do this and I'll do this, and you could just see him looking at her. And I was just thinking in my head, he's not gonna go for this. And then when he shoves her off the tower, it was like, yeah, he is not interested in getting arrested with her or any kind of blame on him. He's just in it for himself. He was in it for power, more than anything.
Saga turns on her Walkman and picks up Crow, carrying him away.
This gave me a little moment of hope that she might be able to restore him in some way. Or maybe she was just going to stuff him and put him on above the fireplace in her house.
Zoe is unconscious or dead, and her father carries her away. Utana finds the injured Kian and promises to fulfill the work of exterminating magic and leaves him for dead.
Utana seems to actually really be for this whole idea of destroying magic. When she was talking to the prophet and he kind of ordered her to do it, I got the kind of sense that she was just following his orders rather than believing it in herself, but this kind of shows that actually she believes in his cause devoutly.
Vamon is caught escaping the tower. Anna stabs him in the stomach and lets some magicals finish him off.
Yeah, a satisfying end to a very bad dude. Although it follows very quickly after him pushing Sire off the tower, so it kind of feels almost a bit cheap to kill him almost straight away. But I guess they had to wrap everything up, otherwise there'd be too many loose ends.
1 week later, Kian can walk again. The rebels have turned the tide and more or less liberated Mercuria. Shepard steps down as the leader of Mercuria in my case.
Shepard is dead. Still dead in my case.
The leadership is left to Enu, who survived the attack. She is very confused by that decision, and so was I.
Oh, so she's alive in yours? She came back to life?
Yeah, she was saved, but was in a bad state.
Yes, so in mine, there's a memorial to Shepard, Bob Who Can See, and Harmy, and then Enu's there, and she doesn't want Kian to leave, but he encourages her to lead the rebels to help rebuild. She doesn't really believe in herself, but agrees, and then declares her love for Kian, but in a friendly way.
Who will help us make the right decisions and deal with the Azadi and secure peace between humans and magicals and...
You will.
Wait, what? Me? How? What?
You're the strongest and bravest person I know.
I don't... But... No, you see, I haven't... Huh?
The others trust you and admire you. They'll listen to you. You've proved yourself.
Okay, now you're going to make me cry. That's not fair.
You'll be fine, Enu.
Oh, okay, here we go. Floodgates wide open.
Goodbye, Enu.
I love you. I mean, in a friendly way. I mean... screw it.
And then they hug it out. Also in my version, we've got Liko alive. This is the point where they talk about whether or not now it's all over, if Liko is going to go through with killing Kian. Liko decides that he's willing to let it go now. They've been through too much, and they actually decide to join together. Well, you can decide to take him with you or leave him behind, and of course I took him with us, you know. These two dudes are great together.
Kian intends to leave Mercuria, return home to Asadir, and put a stop to Utana's plans. As they leave, Saga shows up.
Yeah.
And he is very, very confused.
He's not just confused, he's almost angry about how kind of enigmatic she is, and she doesn't give him any straight answers. He just gets really cross that she doesn't answer any of his questions.
It'll take a while to explain. We can cover it on the road to Sadir.
Sadir?
Capital of the Azadi Empire, situated where the 6 rivers meet
Stop playing games, woman.
I'm coming with you.
What? Why?
Because that's how the story goes. It's been written, and we can't change that now. We have a war to win. And then, in another decade or so, there's going to be an even bigger war. You'll definitely need me for that one. Us. You'll need us. It's been foretold, Bloodless King, for thousands of years. Seriously, I promise I'll cover all of it when we have some quality time to ourselves. Oh, and one last thing. You may not like this one. Yet. You're going to adopt me.
Adopt? What?
I'll need a name. In Asadir, a surname, otherwise I won't be useful to you. No one listens to a nameless person, and it's not like we can just get married. So you adopt me and bring me into your family, and I take your name and become a princess. Saga Alvane. I like the sound of that. I've never had a surname. We didn't need one.
What are you talking about?
Again, I'll explain soon as we leave. And we should leave soon, because Sadir needs you.
Goddess. Yes. Yes. To Sadir. But unless you explain everything, I'll toss you overboard before we're halfway there. Understood?
I can live with that.
Good. Adopt.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how did you get here? How did you know I was in the Enclave? What was that portal? Can you open portals anywhere? Why not
Everything. I pinky promise.
Light save me.
Zoe wakes up in Casablanca, for real this time. Gabrielle and Zoe talks it out. You learn that Westhouse and Helena got away.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if because he said they disappeared, and I wasn't sure if that meant melted away and vanished like Brian did in Arcadia, or they literally just, got away, ran away.
He does say that he does not expect to see her again, that she will be laying low for a while. Watticorp is busy with the story you broke earlier about being responsible for the terrorist bombing in Propast. This seems to be quite an embarrassment for them and put them on the defensive. The dream machines will be outlawed, and Ressa is better.
Yeah, hopefully he's a bit less boring now as well.
Gabrielle tells the story of Zoe's early life, how after 2 years with no powers, Helena decided Zoe waste and Gabrielle decided to take care of her. Before the scene changes, Ressa shows up. 5 years later, Kian and Saga rule Asadir. Zoe is pregnant, but the father is not revealed.
No, I don't know. Does it? Well, yeah. It seems like a weird epilogue if they weren't planning on obviously continuing with it.
I didn't realize the first time, but the second time I was happy that they didn't show who the father was.
Yeah, I'd rather it wasn't Reza. I'd rather he turned up in Casablanca and the first thing Zoe said was, "Yeah, we're definitely over. You are far too boring for me."
This is the end of this story, but there is an epilogue left. You return to the house between worlds as Old Lady Saga. It's very easy to miss all the cool stuff in the room before you do the critical path.
Yeah, so I did look at a few of the objects that she comments on. Obviously, she's had a lot of adventures over the years in between then and now, and she kind of makes references to those. She also, there's a photograph, or rather, there's a picture of her parents, and she says she quite likes to imagine that her father did end up finding her mother and they ended up living happily together somewhere, which I hope to.
After lighting a fire and letting Crow in,
yeah,
Crow is somehow alive. Saga tells Crow to leave her alone for a bit. She's expecting a guest and doesn't want Crow there. This is a familiar scene from the very first game where April Ryan meets Lady Alvane.
Yeah, so obviously not knowing those were his games, I didn't know that, but in everything else that's happened, I kind of figured that out. That April encounters this old lady on her adventure in one of the other games, and this is kind of a loop that's coming back around, because the House Between Worlds is out of space and time, so, it doesn't matter where in time it might happen.
It was a rather large mystery in the first game who this Lady Alvane was, and since many expected that Kian and April would hook up, and Lady Alvane was April, which she kind of is, but it's more complicated than that.
Yeah, she's April reborn. I did also, so when Crow turns up at the window, it wasn't too much of a surprise, because in that very brief moment where you see Kian, Lycos and Saga, Crow is actually sitting on Saga's shoulder when they're in Sadir.
I didn't notice that.
So I at that point I was like, yay, she saved him. So then when he turns up in this, in the future, it wasn't as much of a big reveal. I mean, the fact he's still alive is quite a shock. But
yeah, I was very surprised when he was killed, knowing that this scene had yet to play out.
So does he appear in that scene then in the other game?
Yeah, in the original game, he shows up after April leaves.
Right, because Saga tells him not to come back downstairs, so I wasn't sure if he does make an appearance.
He does. And the credits roll, and they are very long credits, since this was a Kickstarted game.
Yeah, all the many people who put money down.
Yeah, there were several thousand who pitched in $1.5 million into the game. And from my understanding, this was not a good example of a successful Kickstarter. It was supposed to be delivered years earlier than it was finished, and the physical items were of really bad quality and was actually just delivered a month ago.
As in a month ago, time of this recording?
As in June of 2020, and the Kickstarter was in 2013.
Wow.
I believe.
Wow.
So I doubt Red Thread Games will ever do another Kickstarter. I've looked through the comments through the years, and people have not been positive. There are exceptions with those that were really happy that the game got made at all. There was one point when they decided to switch engines mid-production after releasing the first 2 episodes and going to a new engine that almost broke the company.
Yeah, that sounds like a misstep.
And you can really tell that gameplay-wise, the first 2 books differs very much from 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, and the balance between kind of gameplay and cutscenes as well. There's a lot more cutscenes in the later episodes.
Which I felt was the way to go.
Yeah, it's a very dense story-driven game, so and the pacing as well. It makes the pacing a lot quicker if there's not a huge amount of wandering around trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of The Longest Journey. Dreamfall, not as much. The first one is one of my favorite games of all time. I do not think I would consider it that if I played it today. It has probably aged significantly.
So I was going to say if they did like maybe not like a full remake, but like just a remaster, would you dive back in?
You can still get the first 2 games on the cheap from Good Old Games or Steam, but in truth I do not recommend getting them. The Longest Journey is still excellent, but you can tell that it's an old game. Dreamfall feels a bit unfinished, actually. There are some scenes in particular which look really bad.
So if they maybe did a full ground-up remake of the first 2 games and fixed some of those issues...
That is not going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
This game was a financial success, but just barely.
Yeah.
And the first game is very, very long and way more expansive than Dreamfall Chapters was.
Which, considering its age, is quite a thing.
It's a fantastic game, but I don't think it's aged well.
Interesting. But will there be another?
There very likely will not. The first 2 games were funded by Funcom, and they allowed Red Thread Games, which is founded by the writer of the first 2 games. So I don't know what kind of deal they made, but they allowed him to finish his story. In the Kickstarter stretch goals, there was an additional game planned, but I do not think that will ever see the light of day, and the developers have said that they wanted to wrap up most of the loose ends, since they did not expect to be able to return to this universe after this game was released.
That's a shame. It does feel like obviously the key story threads are kind of tied up, but they do leave some mystery and some things open. Obviously what happens to Brian and Helena, how Kian goes about dealing with Mother Etana and that whole thing. You know, all of those are stories that could be told.
Saga also tells you what is going to happen and how they will be resolved when she talks with Kian in the Enclave.
Yeah.
So there's not much mystery there, and I think mystery is the best thing about this series. You never know what is going to happen. Anything can happen, and there's a lot of fuel for the imagination. You only see small slices of the worlds. But the world building is excellent. They let you imagine how the rest of the world is in a very smart way.
Yes. Yeah, it did feel like a lot bigger than what you ever saw. And the way they deliver the information, as we've mentioned before, is very well done in that it's not too exposition heavy. It's often a lot more kind of subtle than that.
So playing through this game as a newcomer, was it understandable, or do you think you should have played the previous game before?
I think if you'd played the previous games, then you would definitely, obviously, be at an advantage in a lot of the detail that's put across. It's so dense and there's so much to unpack, and I think you do miss a lot of that detail if you don't have that familiarity. If you like it and enjoy it as much as kind of I did, then I think you'd be willing to kind of delve into the various wikis and YouTube videos and whatnots to kind of fill in the gaps. But I can also see how people coming to the game new and fresh might not get very far into it before just going, I have no idea what's going on, and putting it down.
Well, especially the very first book must be very difficult to follow as a newcomer to the series, because they show things and explain nothing what is going on, while series veterans know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth sticking with, because the narrative it carves out is worth following. But yes, it's being thrown into the deep end from the get-go, and I can see that being a turn-off for quite a lot of casual players, at least, and newcomers.
Yeah, but in the end, you appear to have enjoyed the ride.
Oh, absolutely. This is my kind of game through and through, and, you talking about the original games, despite how dated they are, or maybe a little bit wonky in places, still makes me think that I'd enjoy them and want to go back to playing them. I was a big fan of point-and-click adventures growing up, the golden era in the 90s. I played quite a few of those, so this ticks all my boxes, and I enjoyed the kind of tonal dissonance and kind of surrealist bits and the odd bits of humor and the metaphysical, philosophical things that they kind of try to chew over. So I'm a happy camper.
It's not perfect, but I find that it actually managed to pull things together, not leaving many loose threads, and yeah, there are bits that do not add up, but on the whole, it's remarkably cohesive.
Yeah, and like you can, from episode to episode, you do notice these subtle and not so subtle shifts in how they approach the gameplay and how they deliver the story, but it still kind of ties together okay. I would have been really upset if I'd have been one of the early Kickstarters and they'd released episodes 1 and 2 and then it all went a bit wrong. And if they'd had never been released, that would have been quite upsetting. The last few sections. So it's good that they finished it, and they finished it in a way that seems like they finished it mostly how they probably intended. Because that's the other thing, is they could have rushed out the last episodes, right?
They probably did rush it out in the end. You can tell that there were a lot of things they intended to do something with and never did. There are a lot of locations in both Mercuria and Propast which you run by, you can interact with, but you can never go in. And it's very obvious that they intended you to be able to visit those locations.
There's definitely obviously stuff that's cut and stuff that's kind of rushed through, but it still works. They got the main things across, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that this world is dead, or, well, I say unfortunately, but I mean fortunately. I was fairly disappointed with this game playing through it the first time. Playing through it again in a more condensed fashion, I warmed to it, liked it more. But yeah, I'm not entirely happy how this ended. It is a remarkable game, but I don't think I could recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, I would put a big asterisk on any recommendation that would say, if you've played the previous games, probably play it to finish off the story. If you haven't, be warned that you will be confused. And it's quite a long going, so you have to really stick with it. But it's rewarding in the end, I'd say.
There is nothing quite like it. It's a unique story in gaming, and I'm happy that they managed to pull through and finish the story. I did actually really like how it ended in 2006 with everything falling apart. After going all over the world, well, different worlds, Zoe ends up in a coma, the Dream Machine is released, Kian is put in prison for treason, everything went to hell. April got a spear through her stomach. This is the conclusion that people have been waiting for since 2006. It's very difficult to deliver a satisfying ending after all this time.
Yeah, that's crazy when you think about that kind of gap. It's like trying to make a sequel to a film that came out 15 years before with a massive cliffhanger ending. Everyone has kind of built up what they expect it to be in their minds for so long. You'll never be able to live up to that.
This ends the current Game Club, and we will put Dreamfall Chapters behind us. I believe you have a second playthrough for the completion. Do you intend to go for it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably give it a bit of time before I go back. I don't think it's a full playthrough. I think it's just some of the alternate choices that I didn't make. So where I was presented with one option or another.
There are a few mutually exclusive achievements, and there is none for Book 5, but you have to play it from Book 1 to Book 4 to unlock them all. It's fairly painless if you just button mash through the dialogue, which is a good thing that you can do. The load times in the first chapters are rather bad, but as you know, it's going to be faster in the later episodes.
Yeah, and I'll be paying attention to the differences, you know, the kidbot sections rather than the shipbot sections. But for the rest, I assume it pretty much plays out the same, so I'll probably be able to skim through that.
More or less. You might want to dabble in other ways to solve the puzzles, but probably not.
Nah.
Thank you, Shu and Ice, for joining me on this journey.
Thank you for having me. It's been quite a ride.
I very much enjoyed our weekly discussions.
As did I.
Thank you again, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks.
Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye-bye.